We're just going to have a great time. It's going to be a ton of fun. It's going to be fun, RC. DC and RC is ready to roll. Guys, that's DC and RC. You need to follow wherever you listen to all your podcasts.
WYNG 1410 Dayton, Dayton's ESPN Radio. We're live. We're local.
What are you going to miss? He struck him out.
We're Dayton's ESPN radio station. Now, let's send it to the WYNG studios for Dayton's only local sports talk show. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine.
All right, welcome in. We are officially 1 hour away from the Major League Baseball trade deadline. And, you know, I talked earlier this week about how impressed I was with the Cincinnati Reds for not procrastinating, for not waiting until the very last moment to get a deal done. And they technically didn't. They got a deal done. They brought in 3 new bullpen arms earlier in the week. And that's kind of the last that we have heard about the Reds here at the trade deadline. And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm noticing a lot of people are upset and they're expressing anger on social media that the Reds have yet to make another deal since then. Big name after big name bullpen arm and bat have, come and gone throughout the landscape of Major League Baseball. The Reds, well, a lot of crickets. And, we're going to open up with that. We got a lot to get into today. I mean, there was so much stuff the other day, Kev, that we were like, what the heck, we're out of time. And, we went off the air late that day and still couldn't touch on everything that we needed to. So Dan Lust is a sports attorney. He's actually a professor at New York Law School. He's going to join us coming up at 4:00.
He's way out of our league.
Yes, exactly. And I mean, I'm intimidated talking to guys like that, but he's going to join us at 4:00 because when I hear things like the cease and desist that was given to ESPN from the Big 12, I'm like, okay, so what does that even, I mean, I know what a cease and desist is, but what is the end goal with that? Well, Dan's going to join us coming up at 4:00 and he'll give us all the insights as to what's going on and where he sees this going and what it means for the Big 12, for the SEC and the mothership itself. ESPN. So a lot of big name trades have already been official. How about Javier Baez, by the way, just made official to the Mets. The Reds, I mean, the most hated Cubs player for the Reds has been Baez, and we thought that we saw the last of him, at least after the Reds wrapped up that 4-game series with the Cubs in which they took 3 of 4 from. They're going to most likely see Baez again, maybe as possibly as early as tonight. I don't know. I mean, we've seen crazier things happen. I highly doubt that he'll be in tonight's game, but I do expect to see him throughout this weekend as the Reds kick off a 3-game series at New York against the Mets. But the big question is the new additions that the Mets have made to their roster, when will we see them? Maybe as early as tonight, maybe as early as tomorrow or Sunday. But will there be any new faces for the Cincinnati Reds as they are officially getting this series underway tonight? That's going to be the big question, because what's going to be interesting is if the Reds don't make a move by 4:00, the Reds fan reaction will be what? You wanted them to make a move. You wanted them to address the bullpen. They did it. And the question I have is, does the timing matter? Because if the Reds would have added the same 3 bullpen arms that they added early in the week with Sessa and those guys, if they would have added them today at 3:30, you would feel pretty good about that. Is it bad that they added them earlier in the week and may not get another deal done? And who knows? The Trevor Story thing could still pan out. I know that's not a bullpen arm, but I'm just saying, who knows? Maybe they catch you by surprise and the Reds end up with Trevor Story. I don't know. But I'm assuming that the Reds are done. All right. I think that they did what they needed to. They made 2 moves, but they added 3 new bullpen arms. We've seen all 3 of those guys. All 3 of those guys had, a shutout inning each. 3 shutout innings, perfect baseball by all 3 of the new bullpen arms. That's what you wanted them to do. Oh, man, this bullpen is the worst bullpen in baseball. They need to address the bullpen. They went out and addressed the bullpen. And honestly, they didn't have to spend hardly a dime to do it. I think they absorbed like a couple million, but that's nothing in regards to big picture. Now, if you're talking, 5, 6, 7, plus mil, maybe that's getting a little, interesting as far as what the Reds want to absorb and take on and start setting the tone moving forward. But I think that the Reds have basically said, look, we are actually better than we probably anticipated to be. When you think about all the flaws and all the injuries and all the deficiencies that this team has outperformed where they should probably be. I think a lot of that is a result of the fact that they play in a very bad division. I mean, the NL Central was bad before the Cubs gutted their roster over the last couple of days. It was bad before the Cardinals, once we realized that, okay, this isn't your typical Cardinals team. And it was bad coming in with the Pirates being a team that had less than a $40 million payroll. And it's actually even less now with a lot of the guys that they moved on from at this deadline. So this is a very bad division. And it's one of those things that you can look at and say, well, do we try to take advantage of a bad division Are we better than we think just because we have more wins than we thought we would have? Are the Reds actually as good as what we think? That's what I want to know. I tweeted this out earlier today. It's a little frustrating for me to gauge the interest or the temperature of Reds fans out there, because I'm hearing a lot of, and forgive me for this, or don't, it's kind of a loser's mentality that I'm kind of getting the vibe from a lot of Reds fans. I tweeted this out earlier today that we need to lift the standard bar for what we expect from this team, because I don't hear anybody saying this team is so great, all they need is a bullpen and then they're fine. I haven't heard any of that. All I keep hearing is, man, imagine if the horrible ownership would have had a couple bullpen arms in this bullpen to start the season. We'd be much further along. Well, would you be ahead in the division? Would you be better than the Brewers? Are you better than the Brewers now before the deadline? Sure, you've had success against them. I don't think anyone believes that the Reds are better than the Brewers. And especially, I don't believe they're better than the Brewers now when you look at a lot of the additions that the Brewers just made. So here's what I keep hearing from Reds fans. All right, so the Dodgers, the Padres, they're going at it in the West, right? And the Giants are sitting in first. I think the Giants are most likely not going to win that division, but I still think that all three of those teams make the playoffs, because all three of those teams just went ham at the deadline, mainly the Dodgers and the Padres. They knew what's at stake. They knew that they had to solidify their spot in the playoffs, and it could be the NL West dominating the National League playoffs, right? Especially with what the Dodgers just did. I mean, my goodness, adding Max Scherzer. I mean, the names that they added, good for them. But the question I have is when you hear Dodgers fans talk and you hear Padres fans talk and you hear the Giants and the Brewers, when you hear those fan bases talk, or when you see them on social media, they're bragging about the talent they have. They're bragging about how good they believe they are. They're bragging about how they love their manager. They love their front office. They love their organization. They love their team, that they believe they have a team that is not only playoff worthy, but World Series worthy. And what do I hear from Reds fans? Well, we got 16 games with the Pirates left, and so we should get some wins there. I saw on Google.com that we have the easiest strength of schedule down the stretch. That's a loser's mentality. That's not a winner's mentality. That is not a winner's mentality at all. I mean, here's an example. And I used this the other day when we lightly touched on this, Kev, about the Cleveland Browns. Remember when they struggled in year 2 of Baker Mayfield? And I remember I was on this bandwagon of, they'll be fine. They have the second easiest strength of schedule in the back half of the season. They will be fine. And then I caught myself halfway through, and I'm like, that's a loser's mentality. The same flaws that the team had during the first half of the season when they struggled, those flaws aren't going anywhere just because you're playing lesser competition. And that's ultimately what happened. It didn't help the Browns in the second half of the season, even though everyone was saying, oh man, but they have the second easiest strength of schedule. They will be fine. They weren't fine. They missed the playoffs. Oh, the Reds, they're 7 games back in the NL Central. They're 5 games back in the wild card, but they have the easiest strength of schedule. They have 16 games with the Pirates. They have another couple series with the Cubs. The Reds will be fine. The Cardinals aren't anything to be afraid of. And then there's the Pirates. We're fine. The Reds are fine. That's all I keep hearing is how fine they are. The Marlins just blew up their roster once again. It's what they do. They have a couple series with them coming up, right? So that's all I hear from Reds fans is only thing that you're confident in is that they have an easy schedule to close things out. You're not confident that they're better than anybody. So why? That's a weird mentality to have, Kevin. It's a mentality that I'm not a fan of, and I believe that the standards need to be raised in Cincinnati because, honestly, people are about to be real furious here in 50 minutes when the Reds do not make another move, and my big question is why? Why are you angry? Do you want them to gut the farm system to go get a Trevor Story or some big name that you know they can't afford so that they have no pieces left over after this season? You want them to go all in just to make the playoffs, just to be out in the first round? Like, that's what I cannot wrap my head around. I cannot support that. I think the front office is going to get beat up here in the next 50 minutes. And I honestly think that if they don't make a move in 50 minutes, the public perception is not going to be good. But I actually would kind of be okay with it because big picture, prospects matter. And let's be real here. You know how the teams all got better today? All the teams today that got better, it's because they had prospects in the system that they were able to trade away. All right. When you have rebuilding teams like the Cubs, you know what they were looking for? They weren't looking talent for talent. They were looking for prospects for talent so that they could replenish their farm system. And then when it comes time to competing again, they will trade those top prospects for actual players, right? Like that's what the Yankees did. The Yankees gave up a lot of prospects. The Dodgers gave up a ton of prospects. The White Sox had to give up a ton to get Kimbrel. All right. So the actual World Series contending teams in baseball right now are giving up farm pieces to get better. The Reds don't have that. So to me, getting rid of what you have just to go all in, just to make the playoffs, not even win a World Series, I think that that's dangerous. And I think that if Reds fans took the time to think about that actually, I'll be upset if they give up the farm to go get a big name that still would not make them World Series contenders, in my opinion.
Yeah, it takes two to tango in a trade. And just because you want to make a trade doesn't necessarily mean the other team wants to make a trade or even make a trade with you. You know, we know these general managers, especially in football, like things can get petty. Things get very petty. They're like, well, I'm not going to help that team out. I'm going to keep them away from this guy because. And you're right. If you give up all your future guys for a run now, and I don't think anybody in their right mind really believes like, all right, man, this team is one piece away from winning the World Series. I think they're a piece away from, having a good, strong playoff run. But you got to weigh the cost. Is the cost going to be worth it? Is it going to be worth just to give up everything just to make a long playoff run or a deep playoff run, a potential deep playoff run? I mean, they're not even in the playoffs right now. You know what I'm saying? There's still a couple
7 games back is a lot. I don't know why people keep saying, well, we're only 7 games. What do you mean we're only 7 games back?
It's August.
Yep.
It'd be different if it was July or June. You know what I'm saying? Like, we just talked about how fast the summer's moving before we jumped on the air and everything like that. So it's basically August. So you got like a month and a half of baseball left, of regular season baseball. So you got to start eating up those games to make it worth your while, to even make it worth the while for the trades that you did make. You know what I mean? So they almost they have to make the playoff situation for the guys that they traded for already. So what if they trade more guys in the farm system? Then what? Then what are the expectations going to be? Because if they do, and then they still don't make the playoffs, then what? Then what? And what if they go out in the first round of the playoffs? Then what? Like, you got to weigh the cost analysis, man. I think the moves that they made were solid. Not only just solid for this year, but they're solid for the future as well.
Yeah,
so
they have player control of all those guys for at least another 2 years. That's huge. That move wasn't just made. Like, people act like the Reds were aggressive earlier this week to make a run at the playoffs. The Reds did what was best for the organization, and it checked off 2 boxes. They got 3 guys that could potentially help them make the playoffs this year, but 3 guys that could be a stable force to that bullpen for the next couple of seasons, which is key. I like moves that aren't just rentals for half a year, and then then you're right back to where you started. The Reds farm system's not great. I know that they're graded well, but they're graded well because they have a lot of guys at the top that are about to be called up. You're about to call up Garcia, or the shortstop. I know he changed his name, Barrero. They're about to call him up eventually at some point, okay? Hunter Green's going to be called up, and Lodolo will be called up. Once you bring up Garcia and Lodolo, once you bring up Barrero and Lodolo and Hunter Green, now you don't have a very strong farm system. And if you get rid of those guys beneath them to bring in a rental like Trevor Story, because you're not guaranteed that you're going to be able to keep them, I think that's a gamble that is not worth taking. And if they do take that gamble, Kev, I'm not going to lose sleep. I'll be excited. These next 2 months will be one hell of a ride. But I also don't want to hear fans complaining come summer if they give up the farm system to bring him up and then they don't do anything in the offseason, because they're going to basically say, well, our additions to the team are going to be the call-ups of Hunter Green, Nick Lodolo, and Barrero, and then mixed with, of course, trying to maybe go after to bring, Castellanos back. That's going to be the key. Something else I also tweeted out a little bit ago. Everyone's like, oh, man, what are the Reds going to do at the deadline? How are they going to improve their team at the deadline? Here's how they're going to improve their team at the deadline, Kev, after adding those 3 bullpen arms. This is from the Reds Twitter account about an hour ago. It says that the Reds today sent on rehab assignments to AAA Louisville Nick Senzel and Mike Moustakas. So I tweeted out, for one, this is solid news for the Reds. And 2, to me, this is also the Reds getting better at the deadline. Health. Getting healthy. They're going to be getting some pitchers back. They're going to be getting, TJ Antone here in the near future. They're going to be getting Sims back in the near future. And now it sounds like within the next week, we could potentially see Nick Senzel and Mike Moustakas to add more depth to the lineup and defensively. So that's kind of where I'm at with this. Is I feel like the Reds actually, I applaud the moves that they made this week. Are they as aggressive as other teams? Absolutely not. Did I expect them to be? I wanted them to be, but expected them to be. I did not expect them to be. And I'm very impressed with the 3 guys that they brought in. So we shall see. We shall see. But again, it's not guaranteed that they won't make a move, but there is 44 minutes remaining. in the before the trade deadline. And whatever happens between here and 4 o'clock, I'm going to be refreshing Twitter like you wouldn't believe. I'm going to crash our internet probably with how many times I'm going to be hitting refresh, just continuing to follow along. Doug Toby, we're live on Facebook, by the way. He goes, my boy Bell, David Bell, has done a great job of taking care of his players. I don't know about that. In another 5 days, we'll have 100% of the starting roster healthy when everybody else is going to be going down with injured players. Well, for one, you don't know that everyone's going to be going down with injured players, and you also don't know of the pieces you have now that they're not going to go down with injuries. So that's false hope, Doug. That's false hope. And your boy Bell has done a great job. I mean, I don't think he's managed the bullpen great. I mean, when you have the worst bullpen in baseball and you go to them in the top 5 most times of anyone else in baseball, that's a problem. You know, you don't go to, if that's the biggest weakness on your team, you do everything possible to not have to go to them. That's kind of where I'm at with that. And we've had that conversation on more than one occasion. Scott Campbell on YouTube, he says, go Reds. Plus, he also says, I think that the Reds are done as well. They haven't lost a lot of players via trade to address the bullpen, and 6 guys are coming off of injury soon. They have to play tight. They have to play tight just because of the end goal. I've never heard anyone say this is a World Series team and that the bullpen has cost them a chance at the World Series. All I've ever heard is that this team is capable of winning this division, which sounds great, which sounds really cool because it is the NL Central, but it's one of the worst divisions in baseball. You have the Cubs, who are going to be losing for the next 2 years. You have the Pirates, who are going to be losing for the next 2 years. You have the Cardinals, who are a middle-of-the-pack team that I don't think that they know who they want to be. I can't tell if they want to hit the reset button themselves or if they want to go spend some money and call guys up to address the. So you could have 3 teams in the NL Central all hitting the reset button at the same time. And then there's the Brewers, who I think the Brewers are smart enough to know that if our biggest competition is the Cincinnati Reds, we're set. We're good. And I think that the Brewers are not intimidated by the Reds or anybody else in the division, especially after setting the tone for the second half by taking 3 straight games against the Reds to sweep them to start the second half of the season. Reds, I do want to say this because I've been kind of critical over the last 20 minutes. They're kicking ass. They're winning right now. They looked great against this Cubs team. Now, this Cubs team is not very good, but again, good team stuff to beat the bad teams, and that's what the Reds are doing. So there's that. And Joey Votto has been fantastic. So we still have a lot more Reds to talk. We're going to keep an eye on all of that coming up on the other side. Again, we will continue to keep you updated on some of the big trades around Major League Baseball. The Brewers doing their thing. The Dodgers. I mean, we get mad at super teams in the NBA, but what the Dodgers are doing in baseball is the equivalent to what we hate in the in NBA. And that's what I find interesting. I mean, the 2 names that they added at this deadline, and then you look at the Yankees adding Anthony Rizzo and adding the guys that they did. I mean, they're not going down quietly either. And, you know, the Schwarber going to the Red Sox. And by the way, the Rays, who are usually known for just winning with homegrown talent, they've been active at the deadline. Trevor Story was in their name has been brought up on more than one occasion as far as that team that's interested in him as well. 40 minutes between now and the trade deadline. We'll keep an eye on everything. We have over-under coming up on the other side. Plus, we'll talk, of course, all things college football at the top of the hour. With our guest, who is a sports attorney. I'm excited to talk with him coming up at the top of the hour. Again, so much to get into, especially as well. It was made official today. The SEC has 2 new members, at least not until 2025. But can that be done sooner? We'll talk about that with Dan Lust at 4 o'clock. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. The show is brought to you by Orion Sports Therapy. Oh, yeah, we have a new number. I forgot. Here we are rambling, and I forgot we have a new number. What's the look for?
Because I can't remember it.
Oh, that's totally fine. I have it down. And I'm sure a lot of listeners are like, oh, crap, I don't know the new number either. Well, we got you covered. All right, the new number to call in and jump in on the conversation, 518-1410. 518-1410. Reds fans, do you believe that the Reds are done? Do they have another move left up their sleeve? Do you want to see them? Who do you want them to go after? Who is that one name you think that they desperately need to get if they want to make a run at the Brewers as they trail the Brewers by 7 games? We're going to open up the phone line so we can collect your names during the commercial break, and we'll go right back to you to kick things off on the other side. Again, one more time, 518-1410, 518-1410. We'll be back in a moment.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine.
ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather. This afternoon will be partly cloudy, a high near 82. Tonight will also be partly cloudy, a low near 60. And tomorrow will be partly cloudy, a high near 80. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Weather is brought to you by Cullet Propane, making buying propane easy since 1952, offering budget billing and pre-buy options. Find out more at culletpropane.com.
Want to hear something amazing? Discover matches all the cash back you earn on your credit card at the end of your first year, automatically, dollar for dollar, with no limit on how much you can earn. Extra cash? Come on, how amazing is that? In fact, it's even more amazing when you realize all the places where Discover is accepted. 99% of places in the U.S. that take credit cards. So when it comes to Discover, get used to hearing yes more often. Learn more at discover.com/yes. 2021 Nielsen Report. Limitations apply.
Who brought the sauce?
I brought the sauce.
Who made the sauce?
I made the sauce.
What's in the sauce?
I am the sauce.
Who brought the sauce?
Spilled the sauce? Quick, the Quicker Picker-Upper. Bounty picks up spills and messes quicker. And each sheet is 2 times more absorbent, so you can use less than the leading Ordinary brand.
Who brought the sauce?
I brought the sauce.
Who made the sauce?
I made the sauce.
What's in the sauce?
I am the sauce.
Who brought the sauce? Okay.
Bounty, the Quicker Picker-Upper.
It's back to school season at JCPenney. Score first-class deals before they're gone. Shop store-wide doorbusters while they last all weekend long. Save on Arizona uniform essentials for juniors and young men like select $9.99 polos and $19.99 pants. And get dorm must-haves like Linden Street Performance bath towels, $6.99 each. Plus, use your coupon to save an extra 25% at checkout. Weekdays are back in style. JCPenney. Offers and coupon valid through 8/4. Exclusions apply. See store or jcp.com for details.
Hi, Pete Kasuja here to tell you that if you're looking for the very best selection of your favorite garden plants, we grow over 125 varieties of tomatoes, peppers, cabbage, broccoli, cucumbers, cantaloupe, and eggplants. And if you haven't tried our famous Neighbor Beater tomato and pepper plants, come out and pick up a few and enjoy the best taste you ever had from your garden. They taste so good you'll wish you planted more. And remember, Neighbor Beater garden plants are sold only at our garden center at 1309 Brant Pike. So get out that shovel and start digging. It's time for gardens, bedding plants, rose bushes, vines, ground cover, shade trees and shrubs, bird baths and fountains, and so much more. So join the Green Revolution and come out to see us at 1309 Brant Pike, where we're open 7 days.
Hey, here to tell you about my friends at Cordell Transportation. They're now hiring Class A CDL drivers and offering a $5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right, a $5,000 sign-on bonus. Home daily, dedicated lanes, and no-touch freight. Brand new equipment as well. Medical, dental, vision, and company-paid life insurance. Call Cody right now. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
The Preble County Fair is back, and we are racing. Catch the excitement of harness racing Sunday at the Preble County Fair in Eaton. Post time is 1 p.m. at the Preble County Fair. Be there.
Feeling stressed in your skin? Not with new Olay body wash infused with skincare ingredient retinol. Olay with retinol improves skin 3 times better versus the leading body wash, transforming skin from dry and stressed to bright and smooth. So I can step into stressful days feeling my best in my skin. Olay Body, fearless in my skin. Now try Olay's other skincare-inspired body washes with hyaluronic acid, vitamin C, and collagen.
Save now on Pro Essentials with Lowe's Pro Summer Savings. Save on select appliance special values. Plus, save an additional $50 when you buy 2 or more appliances, each priced $396 or more. You'll also find savings on tools and more throughout the store. At Lowe's, the new home for pros. Must ask cashier to apply discount in store. Online must use promo code. Can't be combined with any other discounts. See Lowe's.com for exclusions and terms. Valid 7/15 through 8/4. U.S. only.
Research shows people remember radio ads that remind them of the past. So to help you remember that Liberty Mutual Insurance Company customizes your home insurance so you only pay for what you need, here's an ad that'll really take you back.
Back in my day, I heard a voice from the radio say, Liberty Mutual customizes my home insurance so I only pay for what I need. I'm getting on in years now, but heavens to Betsy, there are some things an old fella like me just never forgets.
Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
At Lowe's, we know your home is an expression of you, and we see you walking down these aisles of possibility, running your finger on that marble top Allen & Roth vanity, regularly $5.99, but now $3.49, and finding that perfect rattan pendant at an everyday low price of $99.98. In our showrooms of style, you'll find whatever you're into at a price you'll really get into. Lowe's, home to any budget, home to any possibility. Selection varies by location. While supplies last, see associate at Lowe's.com for details. Valid through 8/29/21, U.S. only.
Everything you want to hear is on Audible. Stream the best sellers and the newest hot releases, and stream originals and podcasts too. Sign up for a free trial at audible.com.
The Reds are on the radio. Every hit, every strikeout, every Reds victory. You can catch all of the action all season long right here on Dayton's home of the Reds, 1410 ESPN Radio. On Twitter, make sure to give us a follow. Search 1410 Kinner for Justin Kinner on Twitter. That's 1410 KINNER and ESPN Dayton for the station Twitter handle.
Man, oh man. I love everything going on in the world of sports right now. There's so much to dive into. It's a good thing for July. Oh, wait, hold on. It's pretty much August. Kev, it's when we come back on Monday, it's August.
August 2nd.
So I put this on Facebook yesterday, and of course, it didn't make people happy. Now, keep in mind, I didn't tweet this. This is an actual report from Bengals training camp. I just thought it was interesting, and I shared it. According to Bengals fans, Jerry Rice calls Jamar Chase to, hey man, do you got any wide receiver tips for me? That's the vibe I get from some Bengals fans. But Paul Dehner Jr., of the question marks, of course, about Joe Burrow that aren't related to health, it's about how much his deep ball ability improved. 2 attempts, and this was from yesterday's training camp practice, Kev. 2 attempts at the Joe Burrow to Jamar Chase deep ball yesterday, both failed. The first saw Burrow underthrow a shot down the sideline. Chase had run past Awuzie, who then broke it up. The next, Burrow dropped a dime as Jamar Chase ran open on a post and dropped it. Just a report from camp. And then people, of course, got all mad because I shared it. I didn't even have an opinion about it. I just shared it. That's all. I just shared it. More people were mad. Like, I went and read Paul Dehner's comments. No one got mad at him for tweeting that. They got mad at me for retweeting it. That makes zero sense, Kev. I mean, my goodness, that literally makes zero sense.
You put it on where? Facebook or on Twitter? Because I want to see. I know you said something.
No, I said a report from Bengals camp. That's it. That's all I said. I swear to whoever, fill in the blank. A report from Bengals camp was my caption. Not even like a smiley face or nothing. It was a simple tweet.
Let me confirm.
Now, let's set the tone here, okay? I don't care about that. That means nothing. That means nothing. He could have caught both of those, and they still could be bad at the deep throw this coming up season. It doesn't mean anything that he dropped it, but I did find, I just thought it was interesting of Paul Dehner Jr. to tweet out that highlight of the team. So I decided to share it. People thought, and even if I would have been at camp and tweeted that out, I wouldn't have been making it up. Like, that's the thing. I don't know. You shoot the messenger.
It's the 4 dots. It's the 4 dots.
Is it the 4 dots?
Yeah. A report from Bengals camp. ... Are
Bengals fans that petty?
It's that 4th dot.
What's 4 minus 3? Read between the lines. What's 4 minus 3? The 4 dots, are they that petty that the 4 dots is what got him?
I think his tweet is a little more vicious than a report from Bengals camp with 4 dots.
Thank you.
Both failed.
Yeah, like that. And I applaud Paul Dehner Jr. because usually Bengals reporters are fanboys, like Buckeye reporters. Usually it's very like, oh man, Jamar Chase just dropped 2 passes, but man, if they got points for dropped passes, those were 2 of the most impressive drop passes I've ever seen. Like, it's usually those types of things. So, but again, he's just reporting what he saw at camp. And to be fair here, Jamar Chase will be fine. Burrow will be fine. It's the offensive line that won't. So that's the last thing I'm going to say. That's the last thing I'm going to say.
What I'll say about it, that's why they practice.
Yeah, practice makes perfect. It's day 2 of camp. But then my favorite, Kev, and I love whenever I have like really good comebacks ready to go. I had it in the chamber. Someone said, cool story, Kenner. Let's hear Baker Mayfield's training camp passing results. And I said, oh, okay, well, I'm glad you asked. Takeaways from Brown's second training camp practice. Once again, Baker Mayfield was incredibly sharp. In fact, during the 7-on-7 portions, he had only 2 incompletions. But wait, there's more. It's like an infomercial. It just keeps going and going. There is more. This was on first. Baker Mayfield was absolutely spinning it. Yes, it was during 7-on-7 without pads, but it was basically completion. Oh, hold on. 1, 2, 3. See, if he would have put the 4th completion, that would have bothered Bengals fans probably all afternoon. So I'm just saying, and if the roles were reversed and Baker had a couple bad throws during practice that were reported on, you mean to tell me they weren't going to tag me in those? You mean to tell me that they? So the fact that oh, you're just horrible, Kenner. You're just rubbing what in? So even the schlop guy that was always going at me, he says, what's the point of this? What's the point of what? Oh, he said I was desperate.
It's a sports show. We report sports.
He said I was desperate. I'm like, desperate. What does that even mean, desperate?
Remember that show, Desperate Housewives?
I just don't get it. All right, it's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine. And yes, 518-1410. We are 30 minutes away from the trade deadline for Major League Baseball. The Reds added 3 big bullpen arms earlier in the week. Not the biggest names, but again, the Reds don't need huge names. They just needed a couple guys to replace the slop that was in there, right? Now, again, I do think that the Reds could have gone all in a little bit more. And someone already called me out and said, so you got mad at Bengals fans the other day for saying that they didn't need a great offensive line. They just needed an average offensive line. When you have the resources to get it done, you need a great offensive line. When you had $70 million cap space and you had a ton of money to spend, and they could have made something. The draft was rich in offensive linemen, and they came away with Jackson Carman. I mean, give me a break. That's what I mean by that, is when you have the resources to improve, you do it. Okay. The Reds don't have the resources to do that right now. And you also have to think of the big picture. The Reds gutting their farm system to go get a Craig Kimbrell accomplishes what? What does that do? You're not going to be able to afford Craig Kimbrell. So long term. So why would you give up the farm to rent him for half a season just to get you a couple closes heading into a playoff series that you're most likely not going to win because the Dodgers are loaded and you're trying to bring Wade Miley to a Max Scherzer gunfight? Like it doesn't make any sense. So that's basically where we're at. All right, to the phones we go. Reactions to anything going on in the world of sports right now. 518-1410. Let's start things off with Nick. Nick, how are you, my friend?
Good, how are you, sir?
Good. Is this the Nick?
Yes, sir.
It's been a while. How are you?
Good. So, you're right. I wanted the big closer. I wanted Kimbrell, but I knew the Cubs weren't going to trade him to the Reds no matter what we offered. So, after seeing the 3 guys that the Reds did add, I'm perfectly fine with what they did. My biggest issue is how David Bell manages the bullpen the rest of the season, like you talked about. Because honestly, to me, I like that. Is it Santion? I think I heard his name pronounced in a couple different ways. It moved to the bullpen. He looks really good.
Who'd you say?
Coming out of everybody. Santion, Tony Santion.
Oh yeah. I've heard I thought it was Santion, but I've heard Santillan, or I've heard it. Yeah, I'm with you. I don't know what the exact pronunciation is. I've heard 3 different people say it 3 different ways.
But he looks really good coming out of that pen down. He's got an extra 2 miles an hour on that fastball, it looks like. So, to me, it's all about managing it now. Because, him, you get Sims, you get Anselm, you got these 3 guys. that's 6 good pieces there.
Hembry and Brock are not bad, by the way. I like Hembry and Brock. Those were the 2 diamonds in the rough that they were able to find throughout the slop that they were throwing out there. I actually like Brock and I like Hembry. Hembry is more impressive of the 2, but both have been solid considering the mess around them. And then if Lorenzen comes back on top of that, I don't think this bullpen's very bad. I think that it's actually really good. But, man, this whole let a pitcher go 1 inning, take him out, another pitcher go another inning, take him out. I mean, look at Sessa when he made his debut 2 nights ago. Why would you let him pitch? Why not bring him out there for 1 more inning? Like, I'll never understand that mentality.
No, right. And the fact that he hadn't been used by the Yankees, it wasn't like he was overused either. He hadn't pitched in almost, like, I think they said 12 or 13 days. So he could have gone 2 innings, no problem.
Yep. I agree. That was the front. I mean, now luckily Sessa went in 1 inning. Wilson went in 1 inning, solid. That's super. That's great. But I mean, let Sessa get a couple innings. Let him get situated. Same thing with Wilson. The over managing from David Bell, I just can't support. I have no clue. And especially when they look good, when these guys look dominant, they weren't looking like they were tired. They had control. They weren't throwing balls. They weren't walking guys. 3 up, 3 down. Cool. Let's try to milk this for 1 more inning and see what we can get. Then you bring in another guy who we know
was fantastic.
What's that?
They still went to Hembry. The guy from Colorado, Givens.
Oh yeah, I agree. I thought he looked great.
He pitched tonight.
He struck out the side.
Hey.
And by the way, I like Hembry, but by going to Hembry, who's been, like he's had great stretches and not so great stretches, if you have Givens, who looked so dominant in that 1 inning, striking out the side, let him finish it out. Don't leave it up to, man, I hope Hembry has his stuff today. You know what the stuff of Givens looks like when he's on the mound at that moment. Stop over managing. Let these guys win you ball games. Now, again, it was the Cubs. They took 3 or 4. This team, they were mentally checked out because they're all checking their phones to see if they've been traded yet. Yeah. But, at the end of the day, it's going to be interesting.
My only issue with Hembry is, and this is going to sound weird, his fastball just seems like it's too straight. That's why he does get hit sometimes. He just doesn't have any of that late movement that some of these other guys have. But you're right, he stepped up and should be there. This allows him to get rid of the Garcias, the Ostrich, the Hendricks. Those guys can now go back down. Those guys where you cringe when they're coming into the game.
Yeah, I mean, look, if one of the names, I mean, the names in the bullpen now that you got to worry about it, if it's the fact that Amir Garrett's now your most concerning name in the bullpen, that's a good, I mean, it's not a good thing, but it's a good thing considering the circumstances a week ago, right? Like, I just think that once you get Sims and once you get Antone back, if Garrett is the one that you hold your breath with the most, I think that that's a much better problem to have than I mean, because Garrett, sometimes even during his bad stretches, I trusted him more than the bad pieces around him. So, like I said, I think that these 3 arms were great additions. I like what they did, and I would like them to do more, but if they don't, I still think they're drastically improved.
Well, not only that, the biggest thing to me was don't give up any of our top 10 prospects, and we didn't. Lodolo, Green, all these guys that are at that top tier, if you look at the rankings, none of them moved, and that's what I wanted more than anything.
Yeah, and then some people really want them to give up one of them if it means getting a Trevor Story and then locking him up for a couple years. But the bottom line is, if you have one of the top prospects in all of baseball, and Garcia, now named Barrero, who's ready to come up, I think that the Reds are going to be smart with their money here and say, okay, we can't invest money into every position out there. And if we already have one of the top shortstop prospects coming up, he could be our shortstop of the future, and we're going to be paying him pretty much pennies. I would rather invest and use a lot of money to keep Castellanos or to go after another bat in the offseason. They're going to, Jonathan India, luckily, the Reds are for Jonathan India is their second baseman of the future. That's super. Barrero is going to be their shortstop of the future, hopefully. They have questions at first base moving forward. I love how Votto's playing, by the way, but you have to start thinking about that. They don't have a first base prospect in the system that they feel good about, so they have to figure something out. There's other areas that they need to spend their money in. I just don't think they need to go all in on Trevor Story. I will enjoy it if they do. I just don't think it's a necessary thing to do.
Not to mention, if you look at it right now, Kyle Farmer is doing a hell of a job, and he's basically saying, you don't need Trevor Story because obviously he's actually hitting better than Trevor Story.
Yeah, I saw Lance McAllister tweeted that out the other day. The slash line for Farmer is actually way better than Trevor Story, but Trevor Story's name is bigger, right? Like, that's the only difference. So I just don't think that of all the deficiencies they have, that needs to be the one that they go balls to the wall to try to address. So I'm with you on that.
A shortstop's not going to win us the World Series. If they would do anything, that's those Max Scherzers, those Bauer guys. But at least this is going to be a fun rest of the season.
Yep.
Because they're going to be in contention.
And the front office did something, and I thought that they did something without giving up pretty much anything. And I think that that's a win right there. But, Nick, it was great hearing from you, man.
Take care, sir.
Adios. All right. Almost said the old phone number. The new number to call in and be a part of the conversation is 518-1410. 518-1410 is the new call-in number to be a part of the Justin Kinder Show with Kev Nash. Major League Baseball trade deadline now 22 minutes away. The Reds have not made a move in a few days. People are right now getting impatient. They want them to go get a big name. If they get a big name, I'll applaud it. I'll feel great. But if they don't, they're already drastically improved with those 3 bullpen arms. This team can score runs. Look at all the runs that they're putting up left and right now without Castellanos, without Moustakas, without Nick Senzel. You're about to get all 3 of those guys back within the next, at the very most, 10 days. I think it's going to be less than that. You're also going to be getting Sims back. You're going to be getting TJ Antone back. You're going to be, Michael Lorenzen back as well. Now you bring in Lorenzen back with Sessa, with Givens, with Wilson, with Amir Garrett. And I like the play of Brock and Hembree. And Santillan's been great. Is what Nick just talked about. Isn't the best bullpen in baseball, but they have a lot of depth, a lot of options, and that's going to be. I feel better about the Reds bullpen situation moving forward. Kev, who we have up next?
We got James.
James, how are you, sir?
Hello, my friends. How are you guys doing?
Good, man. What do you got for us?
All right, so I'm gonna circle back to your, I think, really amazing comments regarding the Reds and their trading situation right now, because I agree, and I'll share with you. But going back to this whole Bengals thing and the commenting on the tweet, the bottom line is this: you know this. You're in the industry. You're gonna, no matter what you say, you talk about the Browns, talk about the Indians, talk about the Reds, talk about the Bengals. There's gonna be people that fire at you. Just don't worry about it. Just forget it. That's going to happen every day, and it's boring because there's going to be people on both sides of the fence, and let the games be played.
Well, and I appreciate that, James. And you want to know something? I've yet to this day to ever say anything wrong. So I'm not wrong about what I tweeted about that, right? So I'm just saying, Kev. I've never said anything. Kev's shaking his head over there.
No. And the other thing, too, is that clearly you're a Browns fan there's a lot of Browns fans in Dayton. There's no question. There are a lot of Browns fans in Dayton.
I think there's more Browns fans than Bengals fans.
In Dayton, Ohio?
Mm-hmm. I do. I think
you should do a poll on that then. You should do a poll.
I mean, even when Schlemmer and I were doing the show, we had that conversation all the time. I think there's as many Browns fans here as Bengals fans.
Okay, no, but are there as many or are there more Browns fans?
As many. I don't think that everyone's like, the hometown team. First of all, it's Dayton, Ohio. We don't have an NFL team. The Triangles, we don't talk about the Dayton Triangles, so there is no NFL team. So there's that. I'm just saying, when people say, you're bashing the hometown team, that's won 6 games in 2 years. I'm bashing them. Yeah, that makes sense.
No, but nonetheless, I think Bengals and Browns fans don't like each other, so that's just going to always be there. All right. So going back to your comments, I totally agree, man. So
which one?
Why would you give up?
The
Reds and what they're doing? So why would you give up either a bunch of prospects or take on a bunch of salary when you could put it into Castellanos or any other player? I think the Reds and frankly, I don't know. Do you expect the Reds to overtake San Diego or Milwaukee this year?
I think they have a good chance to take over Milwaukee for the reasons that Reds fans feel good about it. Again, they have so many games left with a lot of bad teams. But all that means is that they have an opportunity to pick up some wins. Does it mean that they are better? Does it mean that's the thing I keep trying to get through and emphasizing to Reds fans is do you realize how it's a loser mentality to say, yeah, we added some pieces, but we're not better than the Brewers, but our schedule's easier. And then now we're happy. It's you guys need to raise your expectations and hold this team to a higher standard. If the best thing about the Reds season moving forward is that their schedule's easy and not that they're better than the Brewers and not that they're better than the Padres or the Dodgers or the Giants. I mean, you've basically accepted defeat at that point. So I can't get on board with just waving our schedule's easy, but I do believe that that's the door to come back as well. They're playing a more, a watered down schedule versus what the Brewers still have. But still, again, the same flaws that existed up until now are going to keep existing moving forward, whether you're playing good or bad teams. And the Brewers have proven they could beat good and bad teams all season. So just to assume that, the Reds are playing bad teams and the Brewers are playing good teams, that the Brewers are losing and the Reds are winning, that's not how that works. The Reds have won a lot of games recently. They just took 3 or 4 from the Cubs. They didn't make up one game. They didn't make up one game during that Cubs series.
Exactly.
You go on the road and you take 3 or 4 and you don't make up one game, you're running in place.
Exactly.
So that's my concern.
And we swept the Brewers in Milwaukee. My point is, this is not about just this season. It's I've been a Reds fan since 1978, and it's not just about the season. I don't want to get Trevor Story, give up a bunch of prospects, commit to a bunch of salary. Like, I think what they've done is fine, and I think, really now it's about what our current players and our current roster can do. And you just mentioned it. We're getting a bunch of pitchers back. We're getting a bunch of infielders back, and let's see what we can do with this team. And if we exit this season second place and doing well, I feel really good about next season.
I agree, and I don't think this division's as tough as it used to be. But again, this is what I respect about the Brewers and the Dodgers and the Padres. What they are doing, and James, I appreciate the call, man. Thank you. Thanks for not swearing this time around, by the way. But here's the difference between the Reds and here's the difference than those other teams. If you look at all the moves that the Dodgers are making right now, the Dodgers aren't making those moves because, oh man, the Cincinnati Reds, they have an easy schedule. Oh man, they have an easy schedule, so we have to add big names because the Reds they're adding big names because they're not looking at the Reds. They're looking at the really good teams that they have to go up against. The Dodgers aren't making moves to win the West. The Dodgers are saying, well, this division's so tough. We have to be on par with the Padres and with the Giants. We have to be as good, if not better than them. We have to be better than the Red Sox. We have to be better than the Rays. We have to be better than the Astros over on the American League side. They're making moves to win in October, to where the Reds are making moves to try to win by the end of September. That's the difference. When you are constantly trying, and like we talk about this in recruiting and football all the time, Kev, are you recruiting to win your division or are you recruiting to win a national championship? Because I feel like while Michigan and a lot of teams are recruiting just to try to be competitive within the Big Ten, Ohio State's like, yeah, screw that. I'm not trying to have, we're not trying to recruit to win, to beat Michigan and Penn State. We're recruiting to beat Clemson. We're recruiting to beat Alabama. And until the Reds have that mentality, they're just going to always be that team kind of nipping at the heels of the first place team and just missing the wild card. So until the Reds flip that switch and say, we want to be a big dog, they're always going to be in this situation, which as a fan, it's entertaining and fun to follow along the way. But man, I would really love to know at 31 years old what it's like to have the Reds be a big dog and not a Chihuahua. They're Chihuahuas right now. Maybe a little mid. They're bigger than a Chihuahua. They're a little mid-sized dog. But man, they're like a beagle. They're bigger than a Chihuahua. They're loud, but again, they're not going anywhere. All right, it's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine. To the Facebook feed we go. Shaw believes that there are more Browns fans than Bengals fans. And he says he believes it's not even close here in Dayton.
Wow.
So there's that. Lamar Shelley, I'm just proud that you're not talking about trading Votto this time around. You have to be his biggest critic. Lamar, Joey Votto was a guy that was hitting below 220 for how many years? Not days, years. A lot of days in those years, too. This is the hottest stretch of baseball that Votto has had since his near MVP win in 2017. It's not like Joey Votto was great in 17, great in 18, great in 19, great in 20, and then had a rough start to the season, and then I was being critical. This is a guy that has, I wasn't even necessarily criticizing him. It was more so criticizing David Bell for taking a guy hitting below 220 and continuously putting him at the top of the lineup. That's really what I was being critical of. Joey Votto, and by the way, you can't sit here and defend Votto when this is the first good stretch of baseball that he has played in 3 years. Let's just be real. Votto doesn't have leverage here, and I hate when people do that. And not you, Lamar, but I see a lot of people on Twitter, and they'll do the uppercase letter, lowercase letter, uppercase letter, and mocking, and then putting the quote in there, like mocking people with their takes, saying, "Oh, Votto can't play anymore." Oh yeah, because a 15-day stretch of Votto playing elite baseball totally erases the 3 straight years of him looking like he's way, way out of his league playing in the league. Yeah, that makes a whole lot of sense. But Lamar, I'm not his critic right now. And again, Schlemmer got this on his page yesterday. He said Votto's playing well, which was hard for him to say because he's also a Votto critic. But the difference is when Votto plays bad, guess what? We say what we see. When he's playing well, hey, guess what? Votto's playing well. It's that simple. It's really not that hard to figure out. It's not like we're speaking like coded language here. It's very simple to follow. Brianna Howard on YouTube says, "This is the Ron. Ron, why don't you have your own YouTube?"
Oh, goodness.
Ron, you're not one of those couples that has the joint Facebook and YouTube account, right? Oh, that's the worst. That screams. No, I can't. Never mind. What does this even say? This is the Ron. Reds could have the Dodgers lineup with Bell managing there, not going anywhere. Mike Nipfer says, I have the Bengals' last playoff win pictures on a floppy disk.
Floppy disk. Wow.
And David Shaw says, John's, because most fans don't understand how to be a GM, his value is as high now as it will be the rest of his career. Talking about Votto, because John Slayton said, if they talk about trading Joey Votto and something that he wouldn't waive his no trade clause. Votto is playing the best baseball he's played in over 3 years, and he's having fun and he's enjoying it while being a part of the team having success. I think it's also hard for Joey Votto to play at such a high level with all the losing. I think right now the youth around him, it's kind of re-energized him a bit. Right. It's actually really cool to watch. Like, I don't dislike Joey Votto. I've been critical because he hasn't been playing well. It's hard to be I don't think anyone out there, why would you be rah-rah about someone who's not playing well? I don't dislike the guy, but when he's hitting under 220, when he's supposed to be one of your premier hitters and he's constantly hitting, in the top half of the order, my expectations are realistically high for him to be a contributor. Now he's contributing and he's doing it above and beyond even what he was doing in some of his best seasons with the power numbers. I mean, my goodness, his name keeps being brought up with Barry Bonds and others with the type of numbers he's put up in this short amount of time. Votto's been lights out, but I do think it's the play of Jonathan India. I think it's the play, Castellanos and Winker playing so well. I think it's just the play of all the young players around him. He's having fun for the first time in a long time, and it's coming through in his interviews and just his goofy personality. I love the Votto that the Reds have right now, and I would love to see them win with him playing at this level. Because too many times you worry that when a team finally has success, that the star is past his prime and they're just along for the ride. Votto is one of the catalysts. In fact, his play, if they make the playoffs, I'm going to circle this stretch and say that they don't make the playoffs if it wasn't for this stretch of Joey Votto, because with them being without Nick Castellanos, I think that this team goes into a rut offensively without Castellanos if Votto doesn't step up the way he has, because he has set the tone offensively. Hitters are confident now because they're feeding off of him. I think that does play a huge role in their success, Kev.
Absolutely, man. You talked about it before about how he's playing good baseball, but their team is playing good baseball. So that's exactly what you want. You want the guy that you gave a big contract to, who is in the back end of his career, to continue to play well when the team is playing well. So you want to it's almost like a reward that for himself, all right, we got some good guys around me now, and that's picking up my play, and that's going to try to get us into the playoffs. Even if they don't make the playoffs and everything like that, and like we've been talking about all year, like, they could win almost 90 games and miss the playoffs. Like, that's not a normal thing. If you make 90 wins, you normally are a lot for the playoffs. This may not be the scenario that the Reds are a lot for the playoffs and get 90 wins this season. But if he continues to play well, I don't see any problem with bringing him back. You know what I'm saying? I'm not with trying to trade him. Like, I mean, you done stuck it out this long. Might as well just go ahead and finish it out.
And he's not in the way. When he was hitting under 220, that's him being in the way. Right now, he's leading, and that's what you want to see. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine. We'll be back in a moment. The number to call in, Reds fans, again, we're 10 minutes away from the Major League Baseball trade deadline. What's the move you want to see him make? Are you content if in the next 10 minutes, if the Reds don't make a move, are you okay with that? Have they done enough? I think they've done enough to fulfill what the ceiling of this team is, and that's to make the playoffs. I think this team can win the division right now, or at least compete for the division with what they have. I do also, at the same time, I don't think there's a move out there that can take them over the top. They're not a move away from winning the World Series. They were a bullpen away from competing to win the division, and they've now done that. We'll see if they can follow through. But what's the move you want to see them make, or do you believe they've done enough to fulfill what they have been aiming to do, and that's win this division? 518-1410. That's the number to call in. Give us a call. 518-1410. We'll be back.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine.
5G is here, but the big carriers want you to sign a pricey long-term contract to get in on the action. Well, no more, because Straight Talk Wireless has rolled out 5G coverage nationwide, with plans starting at just $35 a month with no contract. And get a Samsung Galaxy A32 5G for only $299, all on America's best networks. 5G coverage, 5G phones, less money. Straight Talk Wireless, no contract, no compromise. 5G capable device required. Actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary.
O'Reilly Auto Parts specializes in keeping your car on the road. Not sure how much life is left in your battery? Our professional parts people will test it for free. If it does need to be replaced, we'll help you find just the right one to fit your car. Our Superstart batteries are built to handle even the toughest conditions. Visit O'Reilly Auto Parts today.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Are you one of the millions of homeowners who haven't refinanced yet? If so, I'm here to tell you it's not too late. Hi, I'm Wesley Hogan with Westland Financial. Although the lowest rates may be in our rearview mirror, as the economy recovers from the biggest economic shock of our lifetime, rates still remain near historic lows. In fact, with the dramatic increase in home values, this may be the perfect time to put that new home equity to work. Take advantage of our cash out refi program and pay off high rate credit cards, car loans, or other high interest rate debt. Or finally make those home improvements you put on hold for so long. Best of all, we can do this with no closing costs. That's right. Whether it's a conventional, FHA, or VA loan, we'll pay for your title, settlement, lender, and recording fees. So call Westland at 888-455-3669. That's 888-455-3669. It's the biggest no-brainer in the history of mankind. 888-455-3669.
Paid for by Westland Financial. NMLS number 3304. Not all loans apply. Equal housing lender.
Want to hear something amazing? Discover matches all the cash back you earn on your credit card at the end of your first year, automatically, dollar for dollar, with no limit on how much you can earn. Extra cash? Come on, how amazing is that? In fact, it's even more amazing when you realize all the places where Discover is accepted. 99% of places in the U.S. that take credit cards. So when it comes to Discover, get used to hearing yes more often. Learn more at discover.com/yes. 2021 Nielsen Report. Limitations apply.
Cordell Transportation is now hiring Class A CDL drivers. $5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right, $5,000 sign-on bonus. Home daily dedicated lanes, no-touch freight. Apply today at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
Greatness. It's not born of coincidence. It's not a product of luck. It's forged through dedication, drills, and the acquisition of new skills. Wanting won't get you there, but sweat equity just might.
Timothy's Bar and Grill on Brown Street wants to wish the Dayton Flyers Red Scare the best of luck in their journey through the basketball tournament. Wear red, be loud, go Flyers!
Have you ever thought about having a podiatric physician examine your feet? Doctors of podiatric medicine are physicians. They set broken bones, perform wound care, treat corns, calluses, remove bunions, and can even perform total ankle replacements. Our physicians complete 3-year residencies in hospitals and train to manage your total foot and ankle health. Athletes with arch problems or tendon issues frequently seek out care from our physicians. Common health issues that podiatric physicians treat include ingrown or fungal nails, as well as warts and skin problems like athlete's foot. If you have ulcers or blisters, you should have that checked and have your footwear checked too. Diabetics are especially prone to foot issues when they have neuropathy. Foot exams are easy and can prevent many foot problems. If you can't walk, work, or enjoy sports activities without pain, what are you waiting for? Visit associationsadvanceohio.com to find a podiatric physician who is a member of the Ohio Foot and Ankle Medical Association to help you, so you know that you are being treated by the very best.
5G is here, but the big carriers want you to sign a pricey long-term contract to get in on the action. Well, no more, because Straight Talk Wireless has rolled out 5G coverage nationwide, with plans starting at just $35 a month with no contract. And get a Samsung Galaxy A32 5G for only $299, all on America's best networks. 5G coverage, 5G phones, less money. Straight Talk Wireless, no contract, no compromise. 5G capable device required, actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary.
Save now on Pro Essentials with Lowe's Pro Summer Savings. Save on select appliance special values. Plus, save an additional $50 when you buy 2 or more appliances, each price $396 or more. You'll also find savings on tools and more throughout the store. At Lowe's, the new home for pros. Must ask cashier to apply discount in store. Online must use promo code. Can't be combined with any other discounts. See Lowe's.com for exclusions and terms. Valid 7/15 through 8/4. U.S. only.
Don't wait to get a new job. Express Employment Professionals is hiring for more than 35,000 jobs. Find your local Express office at expresspros.com or on the Express Jobs app.
Want to hear something amazing? Discover matches all the cash back you earn on your credit card at the end of your first year, automatically, dollar for dollar, with no limit on how much you can earn. Extra cash? Come on, how amazing is that? In fact, it's even more amazing when you realize all the places where Discover is accepted. 99% of places in the U.S. that take credit cards. So when it comes to Discover, get used to hearing yes more often. Learn more at discover.com/yes. 2021 Nielsen Report. Limitations apply.
If you need new roofing, siding, or gutters, skylights, or patio enclosures, if you're a homeowner or business and need someone you can trust, don't take a chance. Enhance with Lance. Lance Roofing and Siding in Fairborn has been satisfying customers since 1993 and hold an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. Lance Roofing and Siding, 8460 Dayton Springfield Road in Fairborn. Call for a free estimate at 864-2722. That's 864-2722 or online at lanceroofing.com.
The Montgomery County Clerk of Courts Help Center brings the courthouse to the community with its weekly outreach programs to local churches, libraries, and community centers. We help you navigate the legal system. Find a location near you at courthouse2u.com. Brought to you by Montgomery County Clerk of Courts Mike Foley.
Hi, this is Eddie Sorrell, Body Shop Manager at Germain Honda of Beaver Creek. When you need a dependable body shop, we're here to help, repairing all makes and models. Our technicians have over 125 years experience. That means we can repair your vehicle quickly and efficiently. Our department is state-of-the-art with new equipment to get you back on the road quickly. We offer loaner cars during service and free estimates. Germain Honda of Beaver Creek, Route 35, just east of 675 between Xenia and Beaver Creek.
Don't wait to get a new job. Express Employment Professionals is hiring for more than 35,000 jobs. Find your local Express office at expresspros.com or on the Express Jobs app.
Want free Reds tickets? How about a free MLB Network Reds bag? Maybe a Reds bobblehead? Here's an idea. How about we combine them all together and give you a chance to win a free WING Reds prize pack presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken. Register daily at wingam.com. Whether you're at home, at work, or in your car, tune in to ESPN 1410 Wing AM or stream us live at wingam.com. WING 1410 Dayton. Dayton's ESPN Radio. We're live. We're local.
What are you gonna miss? He struck him out.
We're Dayton's ESPN radio station. Let's send it to the WING studios for Dayton's only local sports talk show. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine.
It's 4:00. We start the second hour on time. That's that's a shocker right there in itself. But it's the Major League Baseball trade deadline. It's approached, and now everyone. I just picture everyone sitting around quietly, like, anything happen? What's happening? Does anyone hear that? I think the Reds are done. I don't think what I mean, but I don't think that they've made any move. Now, keep in mind, like, you always hear things kind of start to sprinkle out of the deadline, like, because conversations, began before the 4:00 deadline, and they had X amount of time to close out those deals. But it definitely appears as if, Sessa, Gibbons, and Wilson were the three bullpen arms that the Reds added. I think they absorbed $2 million in cap space, which is, that doesn't hurt the Reds hardly at all. And again, it gives them player control over these guys, along with Sims and Antone and Amir Garrett and guys like that moving forward. And I think that they can add more, come the offseason. You also have Michael Lorenzen, who the goal for Lorenzen coming into the season was to be the starter or to be one of the starters. And obviously the goal was to, after he was out for pretty much the majority of the first half of the season, he was ready to go coming right out of the gate in the second half, and David Bell decided to use one of his few good bullpen arms or a few good pitchers in the outfield, and that's where he got hurt. Now we're hoping he's back soon. Hopefully David Bell uses his pitchers as pitchers. I know that's a crazy concept. Who would have thunk it? That's kind of where I'm at. Do I believe that the Reds have made enough moves to accomplish what they wanted to accomplish? And the answer is yes. Their goal is never their goal. Yeah, I think every year you want to win the World Series. But again, you got to be realistic, folks. Like, that expectations and reality is not going to change just because you snap your fingers and want change. Like, you got to look at where are we now and what's the ceiling for what the resources they have now and what changes they could make now. That's where we're at. And to me, the ceiling for the Reds is winning this division barely, and getting to the playoffs and hopefully not putting on as poor of a performance as they did last year against the Braves. I believe that this is a good team. So, Kev, how about this? It's weird from Reds fans that I keep hearing people say, well, I'm confident in this team because they have the easiest schedule in the second half or in the coming months. This is like a very weird take to have. Can you imagine in college football? I mean, in college football, you get punished for having an easy schedule. In college football, and the reason is because of this. Man, they don't play anybody. What are they going to do when they actually play somebody?
Right.
And that's kind of where I'm at with the Reds. Folks, if you think that this team is so great, then why is it that the only thing I keep hearing from people is, yeah, well, their schedule's easy. That's why we're excited. So you're not excited that you think that they could beat the Brewers, that they could beat the Dodgers, that they could beat the Padres, that they could beat the Giants, who just made a trade for Chris Bryant, by the way. The Chicago Cubs are, they're like the Cubs that I watched growing up, not a playoff team. So they're no longer relevant, at least right now. My goodness, what a fun run that was. I know that you were a victim of that, by the way. World Series opportunity for your old team, the Guardians, right?
Yes, sir.
So with that being said, my thing is stop continuously screaming about the second half week schedule. That is a loser's mentality. Stop saying that, because I'm going to respond to that with this, just like I would in college football. Well, it's easy to look good when you're playing bad teams. What happens when you play a real team? What happens when you have to go up against a Max Scherzer? And, I don't anticipate Trevor Bauer being ready for the Dodgers, but what happens if on a back-to-back nights you got to go up against Trevor Bauer and Scherzer? All right, what happens then? And that's kind of where I'm at with the Reds. I don't care. Okay, I do not care about their second half schedule being easy. I want to know that they made enough improvements to be competitive with anybody that they play. They've been competitive all season, even with the deficiencies that they have. Okay, they swept every team in their division in the first half of the season before the gutting of teams really started happening. They also got swept by the Brewers to start the second half of the season. Does that sweep totally wipe out the success against the Brewers that they had in the first half? I don't know, but momentum is definitely on the side of the Brewers, and the Reds have a tough schedule coming up in the immediate future. They have the Mets tonight. The Mets just got Baez from the Cubs. The Mets already have a ton of talent on that roster, and now the Reds struggled with them at GABP. Now you got them on the road. Will the improved bullpen help in these situations? We'll find out. But there's still a lot of, defensive, miscues. Last time they played the Mets, it was just one big mess. There was a lot of base running blunders, a lot of errors defensively. They just
sleepwalking.
Yeah, they look checked out. And I don't know how you could be checked out in the second half of the season, and you can't flip a switch with the trade. You just have to want it. Now, the Reds look like they want it right now. They're rallying behind Joey Votto. They're rallying behind this offense. They feel good about the additions to the bullpen. But, man, the Brewers just kept going. They kept adding. They added guys. You look at what the Dodgers did. The Dodgers just killed it with what they added at the deadline. Adding Max Scherzer, are you kidding me? My goodness. And then on top of that, with Trey Turner and everything, good for them with everything that they're doing right now. Talking about the Dodgers. And then the Giants, they're leading the NL West. They had Chris Bryant. So my thing is this: the Reds add Sessa, they add Givens, and they add Wilson. If the goal is to win a World Series, they failed. They did not do enough. If their goal is just, we'll just add 3 average arms, and if you add the average bullpen arms with the really, really easy second half schedule, we'll have an opportunity. That's what's going on here. But again, I refuse to accept Reds fans wasting mine and everyone's time with, I think we're going to be good because we have an easy second half schedule. That doesn't mean that you're good. That means that you beat bad teams. And in college football, now that we're approaching that season, we don't sit there and say, oh, man, Clemson, how they're so good. Well, why are they good? Because they beat nobody. You don't say that. You say Clemson's good because they beat somebody, right? And when they don't beat people, which is why people criticize Clemson because the ACC is not very good, we sit there and say that about Alabama. Oh, Alabama, yeah, they play horrible non-conference teams. Oh, that's fine because they actually prove themselves against LSU, against Georgia, against Auburn, against Florida. Alabama's good because of who they play. Even the Big Ten, who's been down, we know Ohio State's good because of who they play. So enough of this mess. Stop wasting my time with bad takes saying the second half. In fact, I'm banning that from my show. Nobody's allowed to bring up the Reds' easy second half. They're just not, because that's a loser's mentality, and I don't like that. I am not going to put up with they have an easy schedule. That's why they're good. I don't want to hear that because that you've proven, you can't beat the Mets. You got to beat the Mets. That's one of your final good series you have moving forward. They do have the Dodgers later on, in September. So they have that opportunity. But I don't want to hear about, oh man, the Reds, they have 16 games with the Pirates. And okay, what happens if the Reds go 8-8 against the Pirates? Then what? Then you're not making the playoffs. You're not very good. So there you go. 518-1410. 518-1410. That's the number to call in. Kev, who do we got?
We got Scott.
Scott, how are you? Welcome in. Are you calling to talk about the second half easy schedule?
No.
Okay, good. Because your call would have been short if that's the case. No, I'm just joking. But what you got for us, man? I hope you're doing well.
I'm doing well. I'm glad you guys are back together. Kev's off his vacation.
Yay! It was a blast. And I got another one coming
always
up.
Better when you're on, bro.
Appreciate you.
But he did hold down the fort pretty good by himself.
It was very windy, though.
He didn't make anybody mad, did he?
No.
I don't think I got into it.
I called in one day, and I think he was handling it all on his own, and he did really good.
Proud of you, man.
Answered it, hung up, went to the next one. Yeah, it was a good week.
And he can do play-by-play basketball. I heard you the other weekend. I was flipping through the channels, and I heard you. I thought, he's pretty damn good.
Why, thank you, man. My head's starting to get big as we're sitting here. A lot of compliments lately. I mean, my goodness. But no, thank you. Actually, I enjoy calling basketball. It's my favorite sport to call. But yeah,
I can tell.
But Scott, what do you got for? So, where are you? I know you're a big David Bell fan. In fact, I think the last time I checked, you have a vote David Bell Manager of the Year, correct, in your front yard, if I'm not mistaken.
No, it says #fire David Bell. You're right. You remember me.
Oh, of course I do. Of course I do. But what you got for us today?
We got. I like what they did with bringing in those pitchers. Those guys have already showed they're good. But here's our problem. Just imagine the Cincinnati Reds are a bucket of water, and we've got holes like the error creator on third base who can't bat 200. He would not make another playoff-bound team. We have the walk machine and Mr. Garrett. It's a flip of a coin every time he comes in. I've been sitting in Frickers, guys, and when Garrett comes in, the whole place sighs. You can feel that's
how Frickers is whenever I walk into a room half the time. I tell you, that's pretty impressive.
I met you over there with Byers. You guys are a good pair. Anyway, it makes me sick every time Garrett comes up, and I think we've got a pretty good bullpen now. We got a pretty good starting rotation. And those are the things that show their heads in playoff games. Because, yeah, we might be able to beat some great teams for the rest of the year, but we're not playing against the Dodgers. We're not playing against the Padres. We're not playing against the Mets. Those teams will kill us in the playoffs unless something big changes. And I hate to sound like a wet noodle, but at best, we're going to win our division. At best.
So I got a question I got a question for you, Scott and Kenner. So we hear all the talk about them having a soft schedule the second half of the season. What about them winning those games and building that confidence going into the playoffs? Does that not matter at all?
I thought they had confidence heading into the playoffs last year, but they also beat up on a lot of these same division teams that weren't very good. And then it's like they showed up to the Braves and it was like, oh, crap, we don't know how to play against good teams. Like, that's my concern.
Yeah, every time we get into the playoffs, like the one time we got into that playoff game, wild card, we look like, I can't say it on the radio. And
please don't.
Every time we get in the playoffs with teams like this, we're a no-go. We get swept. We don't have even one dominating starting pitcher. We have pretty good starting pitching right now.
Yeah, Wade Miley. I mean, well, to be fair, if you look at the full body of work, Luis Castillo's numbers don't look great, but since June, he's been his numbers are top 3 in baseball as far as that. Yesterday was one of his worst outings, but big picture, they don't look great. Ballooned out stats, but he's been great since the beginning of June.
Our pitchers didn't make the All-Star team.
Yeah, yesterday he. Wasn't great, but he did enough for them to win, and that's all you can ask for. And he even got a couple weird hits. He helped his cause a little bit. So, no, Wade Miley's been the best pitcher. Again, I don't think the Reds have an ace. Everyone acts like, well, you have to have an ace. No, your best pitcher doesn't necessarily mean he's your ace. I just don't think the Reds have one. I think Castillo should be their ace, but we need more out of him consistently, and we'll see what happens. My thing is this. I saw this asked on Twitter. If the Reds, let's say they somehow get to the wild card round and they have one game, who do you start in that one game? Wade Miley or Luis Castillo? Miley's been the most consistent.
Did you see the game yesterday?
What's that?
Did you see the game yesterday?
Yeah.
nobody could have beat Castillo yesterday.
I mean, Wade Miley's been pretty unhittable too.
In the playoff, yeah, Miley. Is it me or does that guy look like a plumber? I mean, I've never seen anybody look so common but look so amazing on the mound.
and he got beat up a lot last year because of his injuries, and Reds fans were like, why did we add him? Because this is who he was supposed to be last year. Imagine if the Reds would have got this Wade Miley with last year's Luis Castillo, with last year's Trevor Bauer and Sonny Gray. I mean, my goodness, that would have been one of the best rotations in Reds history there, but my goodness, they couldn't keep it together.
There's got to be a left-handed reliever out there better than Garrett that we could have got. I'm sorry.
Wilson's the guy. I don't know if he's better than Garrett. Like, I like Garrett. I still think there's something to work with there, but my goodness, I think he gets in his head a little bit too much.
They say baseball's 90% mental and 10% physical. I mean, he's a mental case, all right.
So
I mean, I'm all for. I like Votto's energy. You know, he doesn't challenge a whole dugout when he just walked the bases loaded. I'm sorry.
I'm gonna criticize Votto right now. The dude's playing lights out. I'm gonna wait till next week when he comes down to earth. How about that? But Scott,
I'm never gonna criticize Votto. I love the guy. I mean, they can play him till he's over the hill. I don't think he's over the hill yet. I know a lot of people want to say that, but get rid of Garrett, get rid of Suarez, and I think we're a team that can compete. But right now we got too many holes in critical spots.
All right, man. Well, hey, Scott, great hearing from you. Thanks for the kind words. You take care. We'll talk later.
See you guys.
All right, Major League Baseball trade deadline has come and gone. No word yet about any additional moves that the Reds have made. And I think that the front office feels pretty good about the moves that they made. They improved the team to make a run this season, but they also kept Sessa and Wilson and Givens. They have player control moving forward. And I think that this is just beyond this. You know, when the Reds added Trevor Bauer a few years ago, they were they still had a mathematical shot to make a run at the playoffs, and they added Trevor Bauer at the deadline, and everyone was like, man, they're going at it. I'm like, this is a move that if they accidentally make the playoffs with him in the second half, then fine. But that move was done for 2020. And that's kind of what this move is right here. I think that by adding Sessa and Givens and these guys, I think that these moves are very similar to the Bauer move a few years ago. If we end up making the playoffs because of these moves this year, that's a cherry on top. But these moves were actually done for the seasons moving forward. And I think that that's what these moves earlier this week were. I also see here from ESPN's Jeff Passan that John Lester to the Cardinals was just done as well. So the Cardinals aren't going away. They're making some noise.
It's amazing. So it's amazing that how many teams really still think they're in it. Because, I mean, we see the Cubs selling. We see my team, the Cleveland baseball team, soon to be the Guardians selling. But, you know, obviously the Dodgers are still in play. But I really didn't think that the Cardinals would be buying right now. Like, I thought they would just kind of stand pat.
Well, I think right now when you look at the standings right now, they're not too far back either. They're like kind of like the Reds. I mean, if we're going to say, they're 9.5 back, but they also have a very easy schedule. I hate that excuse, but adding
do this from now on.
Yeah, but I think right now this was the Cardinals doing this. It was just I think that they had to do something. They're 51-51. But that's not their problem. I mean, they've been outscored. I mean, they have a minus 38 run differential. Like that's bad pitching mixed with, struggles at the plate. It's not just, I mean, the Reds are -8. What that means is and by the way, they've scored 504 runs. That is the most in the division by 50. They have actually scored 160 more runs than the Pirates. And they have 40 more runs scored than the first place Brewers. So the Reds' run production is the tops in the National League.
Crossing the plate.
I mean, right now, they have the second most hits, or they have the second most runs in the National League, Kev. The only team that has more runs than them, the Dodgers. The Dodgers, that's it. That's the only team. And by the way, the Dodgers pitching, so the Dodgers have 534 runs. The Reds have 504. And the Reds are -8 in run differential. The Dodgers, with their 534 runs, they have a 148 positive run differential. That's that damn lights out pitching. And that's being done. And by the way, you know how the Dodgers are for real? Because they have a plus 148 run differential with 534 runs scored, and they play good teams every night.
And Trevor Bauer still,
without their ace. Yeah. And they just got a new one in Scherzer. So I'm just saying, like, everyone's like, was that move done to replace Bauer? Look, they paid Bauer a ton of money. He's going to be with the Dodgers for a while. And let's say that this thing gets cleaned up and he comes back. Now you have Scherzer and Bauer.
Rested.
Yeah, trust me. This wasn't done to replace Bauer. I think this was done as insurance for the next 2 months because of that. But all right, 518-1410. 518-1410 is the number to call in and be a part of the conversation. We'll pick up with this on the other side. The Major League Baseball trade deadline has come and gone. We'll take a look to see if there's anything, any breadcrumbs. If were the Reds involved in anything else, we'll put a stamp on that on the other side. Plus, we got over-under coming up around the corner. And we'll also talk with our sports attorney friend coming up here at the top of the hour. I shot him a note, and we're going to push that back to the top of the hour. Dan Lust, sports attorney, professor at New York Law School. We want to talk, of course, about all the cease and desist that the Big 12 sent to the network, to ESPN, to the mothership. I mean, my goodness, so much going on there. It is official. Oklahoma, Texas, now a part of the SEC, or will be members of the SEC starting in 2025. One question I'm going to have for Dan is, that's what they say now, 2025, but you'd have to imagine that the legal team of the SEC, they're putting together a super team to send to the Big 12 to try to find a way to get them out of it. In our business, it's called the non-compete. Mm-hmm. If you get the right representation, you can get out of that non-compete.
They got to cut the check.
Yeah, I mean,
cut the check. I heard it's almost $100 million for each team. They'll probably work it down to probably about $85 million they'll have to cut.
Yep.
But these programs are dead broke.
Oh yeah, but damn, Steve, the wide receiver, wants $10 for an autograph. That big jerk. We'll be back in a moment.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine.
ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
This afternoon will be partly cloudy, a high near 82. Tonight will also be partly cloudy, a low near 60. And tomorrow will be partly cloudy, a high near 80. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
If you drive, you need the free Get Upside gas app that pays you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy. The free Get Upside gas app gets you up to 50 cents a gallon cash back every time you buy gas. 3 million people have earned cash back with Get Upside just for buying gas.
I always use Get Upside.
It's just free money for buying gas. Download the free Get Upside app now in the App Store or Google Play. Use promo code PASS. Earn cash back on gas on every fill up. Just download the free Get Upside app and use promo code PASS. Get Upside. Code PASS.
Who brought the sauce?
I brought the sauce.
Who made the sauce?
I made the sauce.
What's in the sauce?
I am the sauce.
Who brought the sauce?
Spilled the sauce? Quick, the Quicker Picker-Upper. Bounty picks up spills and messes quicker. And each sheet is 2 times more absorbent, so you can use less than the leading Ordinary brand.
Who brought the sauce?
I brought the sauce.
Who made the sauce?
I made the sauce.
What's in the sauce?
I am the sauce.
Who brought the sauce? Okay.
Bounty, the Quicker Picker-Upper.
It's back to school season at JCPenney. Score first-class deals before they're gone. Shop store-wide doorbusters while they last all weekend long. Save on Arizona uniform essentials for juniors and young men like select $9.99 polos and $19.99 pants. And get dorm must-haves like Linden Street Performance bath towels, $6.99 each. Plus, use your coupon to save an extra 25% at checkout. Weekdays are back in style. JCPenney. Offers and coupon valid through 8/4. Exclusions apply. See store or jcp.com for details.
Want to hear something amazing? Discover matches all the cash back you earn on your credit card at the end of your first year, automatically, dollar for dollar, with no limit on how much you can earn. Extra cash? Come on, how amazing is that? In fact, it's even more amazing when you realize all the places where Discover is accepted. 99% of places in the U.S. that take credit cards. So when it comes to Discover, get used to hearing yes more often. Learn more at discover.com/yes. 2021 Nielsen Report. Limitations apply.
Listen to this station anytime, anywhere on Odyssey. Odyssey is your new audio home for all the music, news, sports, and podcasts that matter to you. Odyssey. That's AUDACY.
Blackberry Smoke, the Spirit of the South Tour, a celebration of Southern rock and roll.
August 1st at Rose Music Center at the Heights. With special guests, Allman Betts Band and the Wild Feathers, plus a nightly all-star finale performing music of the Allman Brothers Band and others, and featuring surprise guests at each show. All ticket holders receive free admission to the Allman Brothers Band Big House Museum experience on site. Tickets on sale now at Ticketmaster.com.
Want to hear something amazing? Discover matches all the cash back you earn on your credit card at the end of your first year, automatically, dollar for dollar, with no limit on how much you can earn. Extra cash? Come on, how amazing is that? In fact, it's even more amazing when you realize all the places where Discover is accepted. 99% of places in the U.S. that take credit cards. So when it comes to Discover, get used to hearing yes more often. Learn more at discover.com/yes. 2021 Nielsen Report. Limitations apply.
DQ presents, picture this. Picture the DQ Reese's Extreme Blizzard. That's Reese's Peanut Butter Cups and Reese's Pieces, plus peanut butter topping and chocolatey topping mixed in world-famous DQ soft serve. Now picture yourself digging in. To express the excitement you'll feel, I'm talking in all caps, because it's a capital E extreme treat with all the Reese's flavor you could dream of. Underline exclamation point. Try the DQ Reese's Extreme Blizzard and take Reese's and DQ love to a whole new level. DQ. Happy tastes good.
Greatness. It's not born of coincidence. It's not a product of luck. It's forged through dedication, drills, and the acquisition of new skills. Wanting won't get you there, but sweat equity just might.
Timothy's Bar and Grill on Brown Street wants to wish the Dayton Flyers Red Scare the best of luck in their journey through the basketball tournament. Wear red, be loud, go Flyers!
Hey, here to tell you about my friends at Cordell Transportation. They're now hiring Class A CDL drivers and offering a $5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right, a $5,000 sign-on bonus. Home daily, dedicated lanes, and no-touch freight. Brand new equipment as well. Medical, dental, vision, and company-paid life insurance. Call Cody right now. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
Don't wait to get a new job. Express Employment Professionals is hiring for more than 35,000 jobs. Find your local Express office at expresspros.com or on the Express Jobs app.
Don't miss the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine. Weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM. All sports, all the time. This is 1410 ESPN Radio.
All right, so there's no need to keep hitting refresh on Twitter. The Cincinnati Reds have announced that they've made no moves, and that so you don't need to be continuing to hit reset or whatever refresh on Twitter or anything like that. There's nothing to search for at this point. This is a final product now moving forward. Sessa, Givens, and Wilson, the three new bullpen arms that the Reds added earlier in the week. I know that the front office had stated earlier in the week that this doesn't mean that they are done making moves. So I just believe that was basically saying they're exploring other options. I honestly, and I see people just ripping the Reds on Twitter right now, I don't have a problem with them not making additional moves. I think that it would have been very reckless to give up a lot of guys from their farm system to go get a Kimbrel or to go get a Trevor Story and get guys that just don't make sense for the future. Now, sure, you would love Trevor Story for the future, but would you rather have Trevor Story or Nick Castellanos? I'd rather have Nick Castellanos. And I know we're talking about different positions, but we're talking about how they stay, and that's money. Money does not grow on trees for the Cincinnati Reds, apparently. So right now they have to be very selective with the names that they absorb. They absorbed cost-friendly names earlier in the week with Sessa, Givens, and Wilson. Names that all have ERAs under 3, which is actually very important considering the team ERA was well over 5. So I just think that this is a situation where the Reds cut their team ERA or their bullpen ERA in half, and they did it for absorbing $2 million and a couple lower-end prospects. That's great. The Reds drastically improve their bullpen. They'll naturally get better as they get healthy. Would I have loved to see them be more aggressive? Absolutely. But I also applaud them for not being silly and basically just bringing in a big name to make the playoffs this year, lose in the first round, and then basically disappoint everyone in the offseason with the fans and say, yeah, we don't have money to spend and we don't have a whole lot of prospects to be able to kind of combine in a trade to bring someone else in. I think that the Reds were smart here. I really do, because there was not a move out there that was going to make them World Series teams. And I believe that the move that was out there for them to become a playoff team, or at least compete for the division, they made the move. And I think that's the ceiling. The ceiling is winning this division, which is not very good. And the ceiling is maybe winning a first-round playoff series. I just don't see that happening with this rotation, especially if you go up against the Dodgers. I mean, if let's say if Bauer's stuff gets cleaned up, you have Bauer and Scherzer going up against Luis Castillo, which isn't terrible, but he's no Scherzer and he's no Bauer. And then you have, of course, Wade Miley. He's definitely no Scherzer and no Trevor Bauer. So that's where I'm at with that. I think that the Reds are in good shape. Reds fans, there's nothing to be worried about. They're in for a fun run. David Bell confirms to Charlie Goldsmith that the Reds are done making moves. And this is his quote, Kev. He goes, "I love our team. I didn't want anyone to leave our team." Well, my golly, ain't that all sweet and cuddly, David Bell? I love you guys. I don't want anyone to leave. I don't like change. Everyone stay here. This isn't about loving your team. So the other teams that traded guys away, they don't love their team. Come on, the comments, man, the quotes. He cracks me up. I love our team. I didn't want anyone else to leave. Well, the fans say, screw that. We want to win. Like the guy in with the water boy. Hey, I want to win. That's basically what I'm saying. I don't care if you love your team and didn't want to see anybody leave. If they're bad, I want to see them leave. And if they're good, I want to see them come in. This is sports. This is the ultimate competitive level of baseball. I don't want to hear no hippy dippy, oh, everybody love everybody crap. I don't love that. I don't love that response, but I have no problem with the Reds not making any more moves. How's that for taking both sides?
For me, people got to realize the moves for other teams doesn't necessarily mean those are the right moves for your team. Mm-hmm. Just because they made a move doesn't necessarily mean that you have to make a move. You have to do what you feel is right for your team. And they felt that getting some more arms in the bullpen was the only thing that they needed to do. They did that earlier in the week, and they're going to roll with the team the rest of the second half of the season. And as everybody's been pointing out for the last, week, 2 weeks, they got a soft schedule the second half of the season. So for everybody that continues to say that, they better make a run. They better be within 3 games by, September 1st? 2 games by September 1st, the way people are talking, right?
Yeah, and look, and I've thrown this suggestion out for baseball before, Kev. Like, baseball is at the tip of everyone's tongue right now. Okay, the NBA draft was last night. Lakers make a humongous move. The SEC versus the Big 12, Texas, Oklahoma. And baseball is dominating the headlines right now. Baseball has a lot of momentum right now, right? So the problem I have is the trade deadline comes and goes, and now you have 2 months before the playoffs. Mm-hmm. And let's be honest, by the time we get to the playoffs, you've a lot of people have checked out by that time because baseball is regional and the NFL and college are kicking off and those types of deals. So what I would do if I'm baseball, look at all the momentum that's happening right now for baseball. Everyone's talking about it. I mean, right now I have so much on our rundown and we can't get to it because people just want to keep talking about the Reds, which is totally great. I'm not complaining, but that's where I believe the trade deadline should be pushed back 1 more month. I believe that the trade deadline should be pushed to the end of August so that the last month of the season creates a sprint to the finish line. Can you imagine? Because a lot of teams are making moves right now that I think they believe, man, if I just knew, I think a lot of teams would not make the moves that they just did today, but they're like, man, 2 months is a lot can happen. We might have made this move for no reason and we could still be out of it. Like the Cardinals, who are 9.5 back, they bring on John Lester. If they're a month out, Kev, if they're 1 month out and they're 9.5 games out like they are right now, the Cardinals don't make that move. Right. But they feel like they have to now just to kind of keep the fans happy a little bit. I believe the trade deadline should be moved back to the last week in August so that September is a sprint to the finish line. Can you imagine if if teams who are 3.5 games out that maybe were 8 games back at heading into August, they didn't make a lot of trades at the deadline. They find themselves 3.5 back heading into September thinking, man, I would love to make a move right now, but they can't. I think that it would be good for baseball right as September gets here. Everyone's talking about all the trades going on in baseball. And now everyone's going to tune in to watch the new faces in new places. And that's how you compete with college football. It doesn't mean you're going to surpass the interest in college football, but it's all about winning the space up here with fans in the heads, right? And I just think that right now everyone's excited, but it's going to fizzle out. teams are going to fizzle out now, and then you lose momentum. 2 months is a long time.
Very long
It
time.
doesn't feel like a long time, but it's a long time, and I just think that all the momentum created right now at the deadline will be gone by the end of this month or by July or August, I mean. So I would have loved to have seen the trade deadline be pushed back to August, make those moves. You make your final desperate moves because we got 30 days. Man, if we can get one more bat, and I think you'll still see teams who are already playoff ready say, all right, we're already in the playoffs. We have this division locked up. And some teams are doing that now, like the Dodgers. They know they're a playoff team one way or another, but they said, we got to go all in to win this World Series. I don't know about you, but I would love to see that. Baseball needs every tweak they can to remain relevant with fans. I think the trade deadline being pushed back 1 month, all eyes on the product coming out. You compete with college football and everything, but you at least get a little bit more space in the heads of fans. And then everyone's going to watch the final 4 weeks leading into the playoffs. Now you have momentum going into the playoffs, and I think that would be huge. That's the one thing I would love to see in baseball change is the timing of the trade deadline. Let's push it back a couple more weeks, and let's take that momentum into September and into October, a sprint to the finish line, because now we're going to come out, and within 2 weeks, we'll know which trades mattered and which trades didn't. Right. And I think that you lose momentum by the time you get into September, because you know what you also battle in September? September call-ups. Yeah. September call-ups are the white flag. You're just waving that saying we've thrown in the towel. We're done. We're just trying to see what we have. I think September should be the sprint to the finish line month where teams make a trade. Last week of August, head into September, sprint to the finish line, hello October, all eyes on the playoffs at that point.
That's not a bad thought. That's not a bad thought at all. I'll only rebuttal to that
real quick. Of course, Shaw. Not the end of August, middle of August. Okay. And if I would have said middle of August, he would have said end of August. Continue with your point, though.
But my rebuttal to that, or the argument to that, would be, is baseball getting all this attention now because it's just the start of training camp for the NFL? Because we've seen several sports try to even compete or have things going on at the same time as the NFL. It just gets swallowed up. I mean, we had the NBA Finals. We had LeBron James going for another championship, and it was just, oh, yeah, LeBron's in the finals, because it was out of its place, or it was going up against college football and the NFL. Like, the NFL is such a monster, man. I think that it would just get swallowed up by, the opening weekend kickoff to the season of the NFL. I think people would just totally forget about it. I think it's kind of like in the right spot. I think it's in the sweet spot. It's like, yeah, NFL is getting ready to kick off. We haven't got any preseason games going on yet. Let's make a big splash. Let's talk about our sport. It'd be top of mind. It'll be the only thing on all your sports talk shows about who's got traded, who's making these moves and everything like that. I just fear that if they did move it to the end of the month or end of August, it would just be swallowed up by, the opening week of college football and then the pending NFL season, and even high school football in some places. High school football is obviously big here in our city, but you got to think about Texas and Florida and Georgia. Like, I think it will get swallowed up by football, man. Football is just, as it just moves the needle unlike anything out there.
Oh, no, and no move. But if that's the case in every sport,
just talking about like the sport itself.
Yeah, but if every sport, you're not going to overtake football, and that's not what I'm saying would happen if they did this. But if you're always worried about football, you might as well just fold, because there's no decision you're going to make to surpass it. So I guess where I'm coming from is I look at the trade deadline at the end of August being a part of the playoff run, because you could brand it that way, like literally. Tune in to our trade deadline coverage, and then the second that deadline hits, and now you have now it's all about the brand, and it's a social media hashtag, and it's ESPN and everyone that carries baseball. They can have it's a sprint to the finish line. Major League Baseball playoffs. The trades are set. You're getting that momentum now. I mean, you're watching how big it is now. And by the way, training camp is a big deal. Football, anything is. A dang combine. Cities, big, large cities are going to be bidding on the NFL combine coming up. So there's always something going on in the NFL that constantly has people's attention. I think that ESPN's ticked off that Aaron Rodgers showed up to camp. I really do, because now they're like, oh, crap, now what are we going to talk about? Because that's literally the same stupid headline for how many straight days now over the summer.
I think we did a great job. I think we went almost an entire month without talking about it.
Because I just don't. My goodness, I don't know what else there was to say about the Aaron Rodgers thing, because it's like, man, will he show up? Will he not show up? There's only so many ways you could ask that question.
Let us know if he does.
And that's kind of where we are at with it. I mean, I am interested to see if that ever happened to one of the teams we follow. Like, if the Browns, if Baker ever tried to pull what Aaron did, if Joe Burrow ever tries to pull what Aaron Rodgers did, what would, trying to put the listeners into the shoes of Packers fans. But outside of that, there was really no interest there. But the bottom line is, yeah, Benjamin Switzer said, just wake me up in 2050. The Pirates should be good by then. My goodness. But no, I just, like I said, the trade deadline, this was fun today. I know the Reds didn't make a huge splash, but sometimes I don't think you need to. Here's an example. Lance McAllister tweeted this out the other day, and it caught my attention, that the Reds fans really, really wanted Trevor Story. Kyle Farmer, who is not, I mean, he's your poster boy utility player. He could play multiple positions and do it quite well. I don't think he's a guy that you look at and say, man, we need him at this position for a full 162 game season, but he's the ultimate bench player because he could play so many different positions and do it at a high level. His slash line, which I'm whatever the slash line, but all his numbers offensively are better than Trevor Story's. And he cost you pretty much nothing. He was a throw-in player with the Yasiel Puig and Alex Wood deal years ago. So the fact that you're getting that contributions from him for so cheap, and his slash line's better than Trevor Story, why would you absorb Trevor Story's contract and try to sign him to $1 bajillion when you have your top shortstop prospect coming up, and all you're really doing with Farmer is buying time until Barrero is ready? And I think that's what's, next year Barrero is your starting shortstop one way or another. And if he's horrible, then the Reds can address it at next year's deadline or free agency next year. So that's kind of where I'm at. I think the Reds made the right decision to stand down because there was not a move out there that would have made a difference. It reminds me of a few years ago with the Cleveland Cavaliers when they had LeBron. When, the second Kevin Durant went to the Warriors, fans were getting mad at the deadline. Hey, the Cavs, they're not making moves. They're not, because there's sometimes not a move you can make.
Right.
Why you don't just make a move to make a move. There was not a move the Cavs could have made to beat the Warriors in the finals. That's how good that Warriors.
Got to get somebody.
Who? Yeah, so
they got them all. They got all the good guys.
And that's the thing. So it was just kind of one of those where that's kind of where I was at today. I'm like, I don't know why I'm so anxious about the trade deadline. I think it's because I know that the Reds might pull the trigger on something, but overall, there wasn't a move that they could have made to propel them to that next level. I think the move that they needed to make was improve the bullpen and give themselves a shot to compete for the final 2 months of the season. And also, the best part, this is a humongous move because they have player control of these guys for the next 2 years. And I think that is what the big deal is about the Cincinnati Reds. All right. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine. Who we got? We got Dickie.
Yes.
He gets impatient sometimes. Dickie, how are you?
Hey.
How are you?
Good. How are you? What do you think of those Reds, buddy?
I like what the Reds did, Dickie. I think that, I'm glad that they were patient. I know people are saying that the Reds are being cheap. I think that they're being smart with their money here. The Reds could have easily been impulse buyers, and they decided they added Sessa, they added Givens and Wilson, a couple lefties and a righty, and much improved bullpen help. I like what the Reds did, Dickie. What about you?
Yeah, I do. You brought up a good point, and I'll say this to Kevin. Now we go to August, we got some momentum, but I think it's going to be up to the hitting's good, but the bullpen has to come through in order for them maybe to make a run. But are you worried about the bullpen?
I think they're the worst bullpen in baseball, and they added 3 really good arms. I don't think that the bullpen was good at all. I'm not going to, twist it in any way, but I don't care what anybody says, and no one really cares what I have to say, but I appreciate those who do.
I do.
Thank you.
I do.
Well, David Bell, I think, does a horrible job managing that bullpen. I am so sick of every new inning, new pitcher, new inning, new pitcher.
Yeah.
I think there are times where the bullpen has blown some leads, but he'll bring in, let's say if it is Amir Garrett for a night, Amir Garrett will strike out the side, and then he takes him out and brings in Osich or somebody. And then Osich makes everybody say, something, because he gives up the lead. And then everyone's like, the whole bullpen's bad. Well, there are times where if you shrink the bullpen, just because you have a lot of bad pitchers, then you need to pitch more of the good ones. And David Bell doesn't do that. In fact, we've already seen Givens, Wilson, and we already saw the other new arm in Sessa. He gave him each one inning, and all those guys hadn't pitched for over a week. And they all looked great. And then he goes right back to Brock and some other guys who I'm not terribly against. As long as David Bell's managing this bullpen, I'm not confident, but I am confident that it is better off right now than what it was a week ago. What about you? You like it, right?
Yeah, I like it. Another question, too. I'm thinking about this. It's pretty close to, exhibition, exhibition football for the Browns.
Oh, the preseason, absolutely.
And, I'm thinking, there's a guy, I knew some people, my family was up in that area, but
what area?
I'm hoping this guy from Sandusky.
Oh.
He works with Jenny Donovan. Jay Crawford does a good job with the preseason games, Yeah,
Jay Crawford. He used to be the host of First Take with Skip Bayless and Stephen A. Smith. I'm a big fan of Jay Crawford. I think he does a great job.
Oh yeah. He works down there with Jimmy Donovan, WKYC.
Oh yeah, he does a great job. But Dickie, we're out of time, man. It was great hearing from you.
Hey, I know Jimmy and Doug will be waiting for me, won't they?
Every time I talk to them, they said, "How's Dickie and Dayton doing?"
Yeah, they enjoy me, don't they?
Absolutely, man. Hey, we always enjoy when you call, too, so you take care, okay? You have a great weekend.
Okay, goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Dickie from Dayton, man. Always in a great mood. Always lifts everyone's spirits. Love when he calls in.
Positive vibes.
Shaw says, and he was the host of Cold Pizza. Yeah, Cold Pizza turned into First Take, but yeah, he was a part of that. Him and Dana Jacobson. Remember her? She did I liked her and him. I thought they both did a great job. Okay, it's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine, and it's interesting seeing people's reactions to the Reds not making a deal. Scott Campbell, an update here. He says Michael Lorenzen's been activated. Santillan was optioned to Louisville, just reported 10 minutes ago. The bottom line is, and Keith Tolliver on Facebook as well says the Reds could have added more pitching the way they abused the bullpen. I know this sounds crazy, but I actually think they have a good chunk of pitching. It's just going to be up to David Bell to manage it properly. I mean, you have Sessa, Givens, and Wilson. You're going to get Sims back. You already got Michael Lorenzen back. TJ Antone's going to come back. Amir Garrett, if he's the biggest concern in the bullpen, that's a good thing because he was actually one of your better options a week ago, and that wasn't a good option. So that's my point, is if the biggest hole in your bullpen right now is Amir Garrett, I think that's a great thing. So my thing moving forward is this: if you're going to get TJ Antone back along with Sims, and you got Michael Lorenzen back, and you just added Sessa, Givens, and Wilson, and you have Amir Garrett and Brock and Hembry, I think they have a lot of options. But David Bell has to stop just running through them every game. I mean, that's 8-9 solid bullpen arms, and they literally pitch almost every night. That is not necessary.
Earning a paycheck.
I mean, if a guy gives you 2 solid innings a night, 2 solid innings tonight, and he's rolling, let him go 2. I'll never understand why you stop a guy when we watch some of the new names. I mean, Givens, Kev, he struck out the side, and then he doesn't come back out for the next inning. Why? I just David Bell will be why no matter who's in the bullpen, this team crumbles, and I don't care. That's how the cookie crumbles right there. Top of the hour, we have our over/under coming up around the corner, so we'll get to that. Big trade in the NBA yesterday. Some people annoyed with it, rolling their eyes of it. Man, I can't stand these NBA players today. Oh my gosh, we'll get to that. Plus a big injury in the NFL at quarterback. Don't worry, Bengals fans, wasn't your quarterback. That's for the regular season. The Browns, nope, they're in the clear. We'll have all that coming up. 5 minutes. Don't go anywhere.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Marcus by Goldman Sachs offers a high-yield savings account with a rate that can earn you 4 times the national average. Banks offer free pens. So what's more important? Savings options to help you make the most of your money, or free pens? You can money. Visit Marcus.com to learn more about saving, borrowing, and investing from Marcus by Goldman Sachs.
Investing involves risk and investments may lose value. Brokerage and investment advisory services by Goldman Sachs & Company, LLC. Member FINRA SIPC. Lending and deposits products provided by Goldman Sachs Bank USA. Member FDIC. National averages based on savings account data provided by Informa, and accuracy cannot be guaranteed. Learn more at Marcus.com.
I need tech that can make me as productive in my home office as I am at my office.
It's possible with Staples Connect. How about tech that will help me focus on my work and my workouts? Also possible. Staples Connect has all the tech you need to work and learn from home. And now Apple AirPods Pro are only $179. That's $70 off. Explore what's new at your local Staples store or at staplesconnect.com. Staples Connect, the working and learning store. N731 Limit 2 in-store only.
The Army National Guard plays a vital role in your community. We're on the front lines supporting essential personnel, first responders, law enforcement, and medical professionals, delivering food, supplies, and medicine. keeping communities safe, making a difference. During emergencies, we're always ready, always there. Learn more about part-time service in the Army National Guard at nationalguard.com.
Sponsored by the Ohio Army National Guard. Aired by the Ohio Association of Broadcasters and this station.
The Montgomery County Clerk of Courts Help Center brings the courthouse to the community with its weekly outreach programs to local churches, libraries, and community centers. We help you navigate the legal system. Find a location near you at courthouse2u.com. Brought to you by Montgomery County Clerk of Courts Mike Foley.
You have empty office space to fill or home office to create. You know what you need. You know what you'd like. But you also have a pretty good idea after you've shopped around the usual places what you need and what you like might not happen. Well, then you haven't been to Charles Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. Nobody has their selection. Nobody has their discounts. And every week there's something new. If you need office furniture, Larrick's Warehouse Outlet can sell it to you for half the price and below manufacturer's selected prices. Half price and below on hundreds of items. Selection from budget to the best. Really, desks from $50 to $5,000. Filing cabinets from $25 to $500. Before you go anywhere else, do yourself a favor and come to Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. With 25,000 square feet of selection, you're not going to go anywhere else. Larrick's Warehouse Outlet at 23 McOil Avenue, Dayton. Open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6. Larrick's, continuing the tradition.
Cordell Transportation is now hiring Class A CDL drivers. $5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right, $5,000 sign-on bonus. Home daily dedicated lanes, no touch freight. Apply today at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
There's something special about a sit-down family meal together. At Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken, we couldn't agree more. That's why we're making it easy with our 8-piece family meal for only $22.99. Enjoy a classic family meal without the hassle. It includes 8 mixed pieces of Famous Recipe Chicken, 2 large sides, and 4 fluffy biscuits. At Lee's, making your family's meal special is what we do best. Get a home-style meal made easy with our 8-piece family meal for only $22.99. Only at Lee's. Famous for chicken.
Hello, it's John Kozik, founder and president of TurboTrack Realty, and I buy houses as is, fast for cash. Call me today for an all-cash offer on any of your properties, and we can close within days at 614-362-2000, 362-2000. Do you own a property that's outdated and needs thousands of dollars in repairs? Great, I'll buy it. I'm a private real estate investor who can solve your real estate problems fast for cash. Do you want to sell and just be done with it? Okay, great. I buy vacant properties, boarded up houses, pre-foreclosures, and inherited properties. I also buy apartment buildings, rental portfolios, divorce homes. I even buy my tenant won't pay me the rent houses. I look forward to solving your real estate problems today. Give me a call for an all-cash offer at 614-362-2000, 614-362-2000.
The Preble County Fair is back, and we are racing. Catch the excitement of harness racing Sunday at the Preble County Fair in Eaton. Post time is 1 p.m. at the Preble County Fair. Be there.
Great values are happening now during Lowe's Pro Summer Savings. Get values across the store, including tools, appliances, and other pro essentials. Lowe's, the new home for pros.
The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine. Weekdays at 3 p.m. right here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. College football playoffs, Browns, Bengals, Buckeyes, and more. Catch the Keith Byers Show Mondays at noon on 1410 ESPN Radio.
I just can't get over it. It's really I have to get off social media. I have to. I really do, because
who's on social media more, you or Simone Biles?
No, well, we're both the GOAT. Man, I'm usually quick at coming up with jokes on my feet. I couldn't come up with anything right there. I'm disappointed in myself. I thought you teed that up perfectly. I'm like, there's a joke there somewhere, and I can't figure it out. But anyway, so I mean, it's nauseating right now, because there are literal Reds fans on here saying, I love what we did. Man, the Reds nailed it. They got an A+ at the deadline. Padres, Giants, and Dodgers all made moves to make a run at the World Series. The Reds made moves to give themselves the advantage against the Pirates and bad teams in the second half of the season. And Nick Kirby and other guys on Twitter are like, oh my gosh, the Reds are awesome. The Reds could light an orphanage on fire on Christmas Eve, and they would still think that the Reds are the best organization in all of baseball. It doesn't make any sense. That's a loser's mentality. It's a loser. I said earlier, I like the moves that they got big picture, but to sit here and say, man, the Reds killed it at they made solid moves at the deadline. I don't think that they killed it. I don't think that they did anything of significance other than what, I don't know, Kev, and I've basically kind of laid out two different ways to look at this. The Reds could have definitely done more, but as a fan base, do you feel better about your team? Like if you're hell, at least the Cardinals went after John Lester. They're 9.5 out, but that at least feels like a move that, man, if they get in the playoffs, they feel like they got some aces and some hitters to make a run at the World Series. And the Reds they're comfortable with, well, just hopefully we can beat these bad teams and we'll see what happens. That's not a game plan. Hope is not a game plan. The Padres, Giants, and Dodgers all went out and made moves to better themselves to make a run at the World Series. Those three teams didn't make a move just to, well, hopefully we could win our division or make the wild card and see what happens. Those moves were made for late October.
Right.
Those moves were not made to, oh, well, hopefully we are in good shape after, heading into the end of September. So Reds fans, you got to pick it up. I've always been giving you the benefit of the doubt. I've always been saying you're the better fan base than the Bengals fans, but you sound silly right now. You sound silly. My expectation is my team should always be doing everything they can to win. And I don't think that the Reds are doing that to win the World Series. Like, I'm not against the moves they made, but I'm not happy with them. I don't feel like their front office is sitting in there saying, what do we got to do to win a World Series? I feel like these moves were done to, well, what do we got to do to not lose to the Pirates in our final 16 games against them this season? And that to me is a loser mentality.
Ain't that like baby steps though? Because I think they're trying to prevent those unnecessary losses. All right, say they got a 3-game series versus the Pirates. You're expecting to win 2 of those games, if not sweep them. So you're trying to avoid just winning one of those games or mishaps. Because I think if you shore up the bullpen, you should be able to win more than you lose. And then ultimately you'll be in the position come September to, make that final push. So I think these moves that they made were definitely necessary, but no, I don't think anybody in their right mind is saying like, all right, this is the World Series push that we needed. These are the guys that's going to get us over the hump. Like much like NBA teams, like, all right, we are a 5 seed. If we make this addition here, this subtraction here, maybe we can jump up into the 3 spot and then, roll the dice and see where things come out. Like, I think these are those type of moves for them. And I don't think you can, especially in baseball, unless you're like the Dodgers or the Yankees or the Red Sox, necessarily just be like, go from worst to first. Like, I think it is a gradual process, isn't it?
Yeah, but this team is, when you have 2 starting outfielders in the All-Star game, you have an MVP candidate in Nick Castellanos. Joey Votto is playing out of his mind. Jonathan India is one of the best rookie players the Reds have had since Rose. It's unbelievable watching what he's doing in his rookie season. There are so many things that the Reds could have done here that I just feel like they were going to make these moves, whether they were 15 games out or 7 games out. That's what I mean. Okay. There was no urgency to go all in. And that's where I'm at. Like, it's one of those where I'm able to rationalize why they did what they did. I said it earlier, honestly, gutting the farm system to go all in. But sometimes you're saving your farm system for a year from now, but you may not be 7 games back a year from now. You might be 15 games back a year from now. And then it's like, oh, at least you have a good farm system. What's that doing? My big thing is every team always spends so much time worried about the future that they forget about now. And I just thought that the Reds could have done one of two, worry about the future as they always do, or go all in now. And, those 3 moves capped off with the Kimbrel would have been fantastic. That would have been nice. And I don't want to hear that, oh, well, they wouldn't have made that trade in the division. The Cubs made the trade to the White Sox. That like I think the Cubs hate the White Sox more than anybody in the NL Central. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Cleveland baseball team made a trade
within the division
with the White Sox, and they played the White Sox in a series this weekend. Like I said, I was doing
the White Sox are like, who needs friends when you got enemies like this? I mean, they're helping us win.
Yeah, as soon as I saw that trade, I was like, oh, we're waving a white flag, and then they've been, sending off guys left and right the last couple of days, and then Francona is going to sit out the rest of the season, deal with a medical issue, which is fine. They're 9 games back, and going into it, I was like, if they're not 4 or 5 back by the trade deadline, they're going to, wave the white flag and call it a season and everything like that. And that's exactly what's going on, But, as far as the Reds are concerned, the problem is everybody's talking about how the Brewers have a tougher schedule. Well, guess what? They're still winning. And as good as they're playing, as good as the Reds are playing, the Brewers are playing just as good. So you can't gain ground unless they lose. You can't gain ground unless you win and they lose. So that's a tough spot to be in.
Yeah, it is. And, and the thing is, over the next 2 months, let's say the Reds miss the playoffs, we'll be ticked off for a little bit. Then we'll get ramped up and be excited for spring training, and we'll do this whole charade all over again. So is what it is. Very curious to see. By the way, the Reds have a series that they start with the Mets tonight. But it's like, so basically what you're saying is, Reds fans, is you're not confident that they could beat the Mets. You're not confident that they could beat the Brewers. You're not confident that they could beat the Padres or the Dodgers or the Giants, or I already said that to you, but you see my point. Like, you're not confident that they could beat the good teams. You're basically just saying, well, they at least got bad teams coming up and we know they could beat them. That's a weird mentality to have. I'm a Buckeye fan. I would never say, well, luckily Ohio State only has Maryland and Rutgers to close out the season. Well, I know they could beat those teams. Well, if you're saying that means we're all confident they could beat the Alabamas or compete with the Alabamas and Clemsons of the world, right? Like that, we just know that. You would never hear a Buckeye fan say, oh my gosh, in Alabama, they have LSU and Georgia left. We have Maryland and Rutgers. We're in good shape. In good shape for what? So you get to the playoffs and get dismantled? Like, that's I just don't understand that mindset. And the Reds fans are they're wearing this with pride right now, and I just don't understand it. It is what it is. Top of the hour coming up here in a few moments. Kev Nash brings us over under. Let me look over these over unders real quick. We have some Joey Votto in there. We have this Reds versus Mets. The Lakers had Russell Westbrook. There's an over under with Russell Westbrook, and then Baker Mayfield and OBJ. There's an over under for Baker Mayfield and OBJ, and then I saw today T. Higgins. T. Higgins said that Jamar Chase, Tyler Boyd, and himself could all have 1,000 yards this season. Like, combined? Over under. Top of the hour next.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine.
If your family depends on your income and something happened to you, what would happen to them? You need life insurance, and SelectQuote can help you get it at a price you can afford.
SelectQuote found Jacob, 40, who's in excellent health, a 10-year, $500,000 policy for only $19 a month.
Not in perfect health? Don't worry.
SelectQuote found Tanya, 40, who has type 2 diabetes, a 10-year, $500,000 policy for only $32 a month.
We shop companies like Protective, Prudential, American General, and others to find you the company with the best rates. Give your family the security they need at a price you can afford.
For your free quote, call 1-800-519-0449. That's 1-800-519-0449. Or go to SelectQuote.com. That's 1-800-519-0449.
SelectQuote. We shop, you save.
Get full details on the example policies at SelectQuote.com/commercials. Your premium could vary depending on your health, issuing company, and other factors. Not available in all states.
Hi, this is Eddie Sorrell, Service Manager, Germain Honda of Beaver Creek. When you need service, we're here Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursdays from 6 to 8 and Saturdays from 7 to 5. We proudly offer a state-of-the-art facility with factory-trained technicians, clean waiting room, and service department. Loaner cars are available during service and free alignment checks with any service. Be sure to stop in and ask for our $39.95 oil change special. Germain Honda of Beaver Creek, State Route 35, east of 675, between Xenia and Beaver Creek.
Hi, Pete Kasuji here to tell you that if you're looking for the very best selection of your favorite garden plants, we grow over 125 varieties of tomatoes, peppers, cabbage, broccoli, cucumbers, cantaloupe, and eggplants. And if you haven't tried our famous Neighbor Beater tomato and pepper plants, come out and pick up a few and enjoy the best taste you ever had from your garden. They taste so good you'll wish you planted more. And remember, Neighbor Beater garden plants are sold only at our garden center at 1309 Brant Pike. So get out that shovel and start digging. It's time for gardens, bedding plants, rose bushes, vines, ground cover, shade trees and shrubs, bird baths and fountains, and so much more. So join the Green Revolution and come out to see us at 1309 Brant Pike, where we're open 7 days.
Don't wait to get a new job. Express Employment Professionals is hiring for more than 35,000 jobs. Find your local Express office at expresspros.com or on the Express Jobs app.
WING 1410 Dayton. Dayton's ESPN Radio. We're live. We're local.
What are you gonna miss? He struck him up.
We're Dayton's ESPN radio station. Let's send it to the WING studios for Dayton's only local sports talk show. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine.
Well, I should have known better, but fans don't like to be called losers, so there's that. Laura Dell, again, I tweeted this out a bit ago. Follow me on Twitter if you want to be called names. At 1410 Kinner on Twitter. I said that the Padres, Giants, and Dodgers all made moves to make a run at the World Series. ... I only did 3 dots this time, Kev.
Did it work?
Apparently not. I said that the Reds made moves to pick up wins against the worst teams in baseball. I keep seeing everybody say, man, I really like what the Reds did at the deadline because they have the easiest strength of schedule down the stretch. They play the Pirates 16 times. They have all these winnable games. What? So while everyone else is playing chess, you have the Reds and their fan base over here playing checkers. And they don't even know the rules to checkers even. That's the thing that amazes me. So that doesn't make any sense, and I said, I don't understand. But I was nice in it, Kev. I said the Reds made moves to pick up wins against the worst teams in baseball down the stretch. And some of you are happy about that. I mean this in as nice a way as possible, but it's a loser's mentality. Laura Dell on Twitter says, you and I must follow different circles. I haven't seen anyone say that they're happy about it. Well, expand your circle, Mrs. Dell. However, you have to have money to make those trades. The Reds are valued over $1 billion, but okay, continue to tell me the Reds have no money. You hate that statement, but you also complain that people are happy staying put. You can't have it both ways. I actually can. I can have it however I want because it's my opinion. And it's not a loser's mentality. So there you go. Oh, Brian Frankenberg, this dude, he cracks me up, man. He hates my guts, and I don't even get mad when he comes. I just laugh because I just know that his life would be better if I was not walking this earth. I think that the day I leave this earth, he will do a cartwheel, and I'm not even sure if he's in shape enough to do a cartwheel. I think he will attempt to do a cartwheel the day that I leave this earth. He says, those teams are 3 virtual locks for the postseason at 88% because they actually, try. The Reds have a 15% chance. The Reds got better without gutting the future. It's not a loser's mentality. It's realizing that Castellini blew it in the offseason. Brian freaking Frankenberg, are you kidding me? Are you that much of a fill in the blank? I'll let you call yourself your own name that you want to be called. But he goes, but typical Kinner. So Castellini gets no credit he only gets credit for the flaws? Every time this team struggles, we're going to say, well, it's Castellini's fault. Castellini gets no credit for Winker. He gets no credit for Castellanos. He gets no credit for adding, Moustakas, who I know has been injured, but he gets no credit for those guys. He only gets credit for the guys that don't play well. That's it. The only reason that the Reds are in a playoff race to lose is because of the names that the Castellinis put in there to begin with. Are you freaking kidding me, Brian freaking Frankenberg? Man, I wish I could swear on the air.
I don't.
Why? If we were allowed to cuss, we wouldn't be in trouble when we do it.
Go get a podcast.
Brian freaking Frankenberg. Nah, see, when I'm allowed to, and I bet you if I was allowed to cuss, I probably wouldn't cuss as much as I do whenever. Sometimes I have to sneak a cuss word in there, even if it's just hell.
Damn.
I'll never forget when I found out that crap wasn't like a bad word, that you could say crap. Like, I'll remember I dropped it in front of my parents one time. My dad just glared at me. I'm like, what? The kids at school are saying it. They said crap. And I remember my friends saying it in front of a teacher. I'm like, oh, you're allowed to say that? Cool. Crap. Has anyone seen my crap pen? Oh, crap. I gotta go. Oh, crap. I need some water. Crap. I mean, it was so cool. But anyways, no, this whole take about the Castellinis, look, I'm not going to keep doing the same segment over and over and over, but that's such a lazy take, even for guys like Brian freaking Frankenberg. Oh, yeah, it's realizing that Castellini blew it. So, and even here, Kev, Castellini just brought in 3 new bullpen arms, and he gets no credit for that. So now you have Wilson, you have Givens, and you have Sessa. So every time that they go out there and pitch well, that's not because of the Castellinis. But if Santillan or any of these other original bullpen arms blow the lead, it's because of the Castellinis. You guys are,
tripping. There you go.
Tripping. Thank you.
Go. I got you.
You got to fill in the blank. Oh my gosh. I know. I'm done. We got to move on. Let's move on from that, Kev. I'm done dealing with people with the loser's mentality. Okay. Laura Dell and Brian freaking Frankenberg. I like that name, though. I wish he was cool because his name's cool, but he's not cool. But I wish he was cool to match his name. Brian freaking. And Laura Dell is like, that's the computer that David Bell uses in the dugout to manage a baseball game. She must be the owner of Dell, and that's why she likes David Bell so much, because he uses her computers to make all of his baseball decisions for him. Hit the music. Kev Nash brings us over under.
Kev Nash brings you over under.
I said Kev Ass. That's funny because, if people didn't like you, that would be such a cool name to call you all the time.
No one.
Holy moly. All right, Kev, let's start in Major League Baseball. No loser mentality allowed, though.
No. Joey Votto has been on fire. When I was writing this, they really don't say on fire in baseball, do they? What's the proper term for Joey Votto's hitting streak that he's been on?
Oh, he's on a roll. He's
raking. There you go.
He's fire. He's fire emoji. Fire.
Joey Votto has been raking, hitting home runs in each of his last 6 games. Votto now has 20 home runs on the season, so over under 31 home runs for Votto's by season's end.
Well, look, for the reason that everyone's super excited about the Reds' chances because they play a bunch of bad teams, that's why I'm going to say the over. We're talking about 11. So they have about 55 games or 56 games remaining. I think there's 11 home runs sprinkled in there. I think that. So you're saying over under 31?
Yeah.
I think over. I think he'll get to 32. I think he'll finish around 32. I mean, look, what we're saying, this is not Joey. This wasn't even Votto back in his heyday, back when he was in his prime swinging the bat. I don't think anyone looks at Votto as a power hitter. I think anytime that he provides power, that's just a cherry on top. But man, the dude is this has been fun. We're at the point in Joey Votto's career that I always think back to when I was watching Tim Duncan and a lot of my favorite veterans in the NBA who I hated. I never hated Joey Votto. I've just been critical, but I haven't been able to enjoy Votto over the last 5 or 6 years because the team's not winning. Now they're winning and he's playing well and it's been fun. And now I'm starting to really, be a big fan of his too, just because I want to see his career end on a high note, not, oh man, they sent Joey Votto out the right way. They set him up to beat the worst teams in baseball. You got to love the Cincinnati Reds way. But no, I'm going to say over because the 16 games with the Pirates, that's a lot of bad pitching. The Cubs, that's going to be a lot of bad pitching. There's a lot of bad pitching that he's going to be facing moving forward. So I think that in the next 56 or whatever plus games, I do believe that there are 12 home runs sprinkled in there somewhere. So I'm going to say the over.
I'm going to go with the over as well. I just look at it as they got 2 months of baseball left. He's going to hit at least 12 home runs in that time span. So I'm going to go with the over. And also, just remember when David Bell sat him down for that little stretch where he was struggling early in the season, is this paying dividends? Do you think that has residual effects on how he's playing right now?
Repeat that.
Do you think that remember Joey Bell? Goodness, I'm all over the place. When Bell sat him down earlier in the season, is this paying dividends? Is this him rewarding?
Well, it was last year. He actually benched Suarez, and Suarez looked okay coming out. But he did that with Joey Votto since coming out of being benched last year. That was one of the few moves I've actually complimented David Bell on, because that's not easy. That's the face of your franchise that you said, hey man, I love you, but this isn't we got it. He didn't send him to AAA. He didn't do any of that stuff. Well, I think he can't. He's like 80 years old. I don't even think he has options left. But no, I think that definitely helped. But like I said earlier, I do believe that it's the joy of playing on a competing team, and they're having fun on a night in, night out basis. You could tell the chemistry with this group is really good. Like earlier, I was laughing at David Bell's comment. I really love this team. I didn't want to see anyone go. I do believe chemistry can uplift a team. I think chemistry can derail a more talented team, and I do think that chemistry can uplift a less talented team. And I think that this team's right in that sweet spot. I think that their chemistry is elevating their performance. And no matter what I say about David Bell, I do have to say they love playing for him, and he is getting the best out of them considering their deficiencies, which is a good thing for him. But the over-under at 31, if you're just tuning in, Joey Votto has 20 home runs. Right now, over-under 31 home runs for Votto by season's end. I just think with all the bad pitching that's coming up, I think that there's 12 home runs in there somewhere. So I'm going to take the over.
Going with the over as well. All right, the Reds on a 3-game winning streak. Up next for the Redlegs, a 3-game series at the New York Mets. Over or under 1.5 wins for the Reds in this matchup versus the Mets.
All right, so they have 3 with the Mets. They just took 3 of 4 from the Cubs coming out. They took 2 of 3 from the Cardinals right after being swept right after dropping 2 of 3 to the Mets at Great American Ballpark last time. So the Reds have Sonny Gray, Wade Miley, and Gutierrez on the mound for these next 3 games at New York before returning home for a huge homestand where they have 2 with Minnesota and then 4 with the Pirates. So I think that they're going to take 2 of 3. I think that they lose tonight. The reason I say that is because Sonny Gray, I can't believe I'm saying this. I trust Wade Miley more than Sonny Gray right now. Sonny Gray has been like a roller coaster. You kind of don't know what you're going to get, and I think that they'll get a big win to close the series out. I say that they take 2 of 3. I'm going to take the over. I think right now this series, because I'm so sick of hearing about all the bad teams that the Reds are playing moving forward, this is a good team. So if you want me to believe that this is a team that can compete for a playoff spot and win this division, I don't want you beating up on the horrible Cubs and the horrible Pirates and the horrible Marlins and everyone else coming up down the stretch and the Tigers and everybody else. Prove that you could beat the Mets, because the Mets aren't World Series favorites by any means. But if you can't compete with the Mets, then you're not going to catch the Brewers. So beat the Mets, take 2 of 3. A sweep would be fantastic, but I'm being realistic here. I'm going to take the over. I think that they win with Miley and Gutierrez, but I'm a little concerned about tonight.
No DeGrom. Over. Simple as that. They don't have DeGrom pitching. Over for the Reds. The Reds are going to get 2 or 3 of these games.
All right, real quick, and of course I lost the tweet. Lance McAllister. Dang it, I lost it. But Lance McAllister brought up a point that I didn't even think about. Laura Dell on Twitter going at me about they don't have the money. It was like $13+ million that they saved in the offseason by letting go of a lot of those really good bullpen arms from a season ago. Where did that money go? You just absorbed $2 million in that, in those deals for Sessa and those guys. So what money don't they have? You had $10 million to work with to go get a legitimate piece, whether it be a closer in Kimbrel or a bat in Story, which I'm actually glad I would have loved to see them get Kimbrel. Kimbrel would have been like the killer that you put at the end and mixed with the other guys that they have. But, it is what it is. But anyways, on to number 3 in the world of the NBA as we currently sit here in the over.
Yes, the association. The Lakers made a draft night trade getting Russell Westbrook, and the Lakers now have their own big 3 for Russell, Bron, and of course AD. So over or under 1.5 championships for that trio with the Lakers.
I love this. I love this move. I think by your facial expression, because you didn't say a word earlier when I said it during the break, I'm like, oh, Kev, don't like this move. I love this move, and here's why. All I hear about is all the things that Russell Westbrook can't do.
Right.
Well, that's the job of Vogel to put the team in position to do, there's not a perfect player out there. Actually, there's one. When LeBron's healthy and was a little younger, he was the perfect player. He could shoot, he could score, he could back you down, he could be the point guard, he could be the center, he could defend every position. The most perfect player out there, if you're going to build a player, it's the hybrid LeBron James. That's it. Outside of that, there's not one player in the NBA that's perfect. Giannis, as dominant as he is, can't run the point. He's not going to handle the ball very well. He can't shoot 3-pointers. He can't knock down free throws. But he's your MVP, and he just literally dominated the NBA Finals to lead his team back from 0-2. He has flaws. So if the Bucks can win a title with the team of all the things that Giannis can't do, I don't want to hear about what Russell can't do. The dude averages a triple-double for the last 3 years. I heard someone say, I think it was Shaw of all people, shocker, saying, oh, man, he's too ball dominant. This isn't going to work. There's only one ball. If I had $1 for every time I heard someone with the lazy take say, well, there's only one ball. Teams average, and I heard that about the Nets, with Durant and Steph Curry and why am I forgetting his name? Harden. Oh, there's only one ball. There's no way that's going to work. You mean the team that averages 120 points a game? Each of those players can average 30 points a game, and there's still 40 points worth of points to distribute to the rest of the team. They'll be fine. This Lakers team will be fine. I think what this does for the Lakers is, like, when LeBron and AD are healthy, that's the team would have been the favorite to come out of the West. And I think that I think a fully healthy Nets team, I don't know how comfortable I would have been to pick the Lakers over a fully healthy Nets team, to be honest. And I don't think there's a team out there that can stop that Nets team. The Nets are the only team that can stop the Nets. That's how I view the Nets. That's how loaded they are, but they also have a lot of weird personality issues on that team as well. So anyways, all over the place. But to sum up, I thought the Lakers and AD and LeBron are good enough to win it all. AD just has a lot of health concerns. He's not reliable from that perspective. LeBron's getting a little older, but if you take the health concerns away, LeBron and AD, that's the best 1-2 combo in the league. I don't care what anybody says. That's the best 1-2 as far as the way they could dominate a game. Just those two, nobody can touch them. But when they do touch them, they get hurt. That's the problem I have moving forward. But when AD is out, LeBron and Westbrook, that's Jordan Pippen. Like, those two do literally, like, you combine the passing ability, the scoring ability, and the rebounding ability of Westbrook and combine it with LeBron's scoring, passing, and rebounding ability. There's not a more dominant duo in the league as far as what you get when you combine both of their strengths. Yes, Westbrook doesn't shoot. Get him shooters. Find a way to get him shooters. Don't know if it's Redick. Don't know what you have to do to go get shooters. Go get shooters. This team will be fine. AD, if he misses 2 months of the season, LeBron and Westbrook, they're winning a lot of games. LeBron, if he's out for a month, AD and Westbrook, they're winning a lot of games. I think that this gives the Lakers flexibility. I love this move. And if I hear one more person with the take, because someone commented on the post on my Facebook page underneath, imagine if Jordan, Bird, Magic, Barkley, Ewing, Malone all formed a team of the 90s. No one would have a chance. Lakers seem to be grasping at straws. First of all, Larry Bird played on a super team. The Bulls, the best team of all time, 2 top 50 NBA players on it. That was a super team. They even added Rodman for the second three-peat. Okay, that was a super team, and I'm not bad about it. You can't be the best, one of the best teams of all time without being a super team. Showtime Lakers, Magic Johnson. Yeah, that was a super team too. Imagine that. Every one of those greats played on a super team. Even Karl Malone and Stockton. 2 of the best players of all time. Super team. Worst of the super teams, but super team. Don't give me that crap about, they didn't have super teams in the 80s and 90s. The only difference between the super teams in the 80s and 90s and today is how they were built and how they were put together. The players are just as good, if not better, than the 80s and 90s today. You want to know what's worse? Front offices are worse today because they're not patient. They don't let things breathe a little bit. Coaches get fired at the blink of an eye. I think that the front offices in the league today are worse, Kev. I think that's what's worse. The players aren't worse. The mentality's not worse. Larry Bird never had to leave Boston because he always had talent around him. He was never pressured to leave. And I've said that a million times. Jordan, it's not like he's the most loyal mofo in the world. All right. He left to go play for the White Sox for a bit, and then he came back, and then he retired again. I'm saying retiring, not quitting. He retired again, right? Again, it's not that but he never had to be in a position to go pick another team because he didn't play on a good enough team. He knew when I play, we're winning a championship because I have Pippen, because I have Rodman, because I have Oakley or whoever he had around him during those stretches, right? He never had to be forced to leave. Same thing, Malone and Stockton, they stayed together. They couldn't overcome the Bulls because it was 3-on-2. Because, Rodman was a great addition to a team. So enough with this lazy bullcrap take about, the players back then, they did it the right way. No, the front offices did it the right way back then because they let rosters breathe. They kept Pippen and Jordan together for a while. They added coaches. They didn't keep trading pieces away. They let the draft. They did their thing. Bulls front office, great front office. I don't care. I know that they destroyed their own creation, but they had to build it to destroy it, right? The Cavs couldn't build anything. That's the problem I have.
So over or under 1.5 championships for Russ, Bron, and AD.
Oh, yeah. Over under. My bad. Guys, you're sitting there glaring at me, smiling. I'm like, I must be really making great points here. Kevin's just smiling away at me. I say under. I say they get 1. I think if they're healthy next season. Right now, this is the best constructed team with that trio right there. I also think this is the best trio LeBron's ever been a part of. I think it's better. I really do. I think when you think of what all 3 can do, they're the 3 most dominant players that he's been a part of since coming. I'll take AD, I'll take over Bosh, and Westbrook, I'll take over the Dwayne Wade that Dwayne Wade was when he was in Miami. And Kyrie and
You taking this LeBron over the LeBron that was in Miami?
I mean, what's the flaw of LeBron right now? He's getting injured, but outside of that, he was on his way to winning an MVP this year until he got hurt.
I would definitely take the younger LeBron. But anyway,
he was about to win an MVP this year.
Okay.
Let me say quiet. He was about to win an MVP there.
Okay. I prefer the Heat LeBron. I think that he's a way more efficient player than. I'm going to go with the under as well. Real quick on the combo of these three guys. I think what people are overlooking is the intensity that Russ is going to bring to the team. Russ has never been here for the play. He's here to play and win. You know, the intensity he's going to bring to the defensive end of the court. AD is already one of the best defensive players in the league. Yes, you know, he's injury prone and everything like that. But when he's on the court, he's one of the best defensive players in the league. So you add him with Russ, and when LeBron has to play defense, he does play defense. So I think in the regular season, this is going to be outstanding basketball. And what people will fail to realize also is, okay, LeBron is going to play off the ball. He'll play with the ball when he has to, like in crunch time, but Russell had a ball in his hand, and LeBron has expanded his game to, you know, work in the post and be a finisher at the rim. Kind of like when Rondo was on the team. Rondo ran the show and fed AD, fed LeBron, but then in crunch time, the ball was in LeBron's hands, as it should be. So I'm still going to go with the under just because of the injuries and the age situation and everything like that. I don't necessarily believe that this is going to be like a match made in heaven like a lot of other people do, but I also don't think this is going to be a train wreck like a lot of other people do. When you have this much talent on one team, you should win a championship. You should at least win one championship. So I'm going to go with the under, but just one championship. That's why I put that hook on there. The halfer.
All right, on to number 4.
Number 4, Baker Mayfield says he and OBJ are making huge strides. So over or under 9.5 TD catches for OBJ via Baker Mayfield, because you know they love to throw that reverse pass with him and Landry.
Look, I'm taking the under here, and I don't think that means that it's not going to be good between him. And this is a run-first team. It is a run-first team, and LeBron. So I'm still caught up on the best player of all time, LeBron. Baker Mayfield, like, you know, I don't know what to make of this yet. Like, I don't care what camp says. Oh, Baker and OBJ, they have a lot of good things going. Look, until we see it on the field, I don't want to hear that, because they said the same thing last year, and it still wasn't crisp, right? Like, it was improved for the year before, but it wasn't crisp. Did it again. Baker's interceptions disappeared the second OBJ left last season. Now, it's easy to say that that's why, but if all of a sudden the interceptions come back with OBJ on the field, I hope the Browns don't wait till the trade deadline before they make something happen. Like, I hope that they realize that right away. If they try to be patient and baby the ego of OBJ, I'm going to have a huge problem with that, because you don't baby the ego of a player at the detriment of your team. And I feel like the Browns are going to have to figure out very quickly, and they have to know, and I think they're going to know in practice whether they'll admit it to the media or not. Baker, can he still pick up where he left off last year with OBJ on the field? To me, I've always thought it's strange that Baker cannot play with an elite wide receiver. So I would find it very odd if he couldn't find a way to make it work. But at the same time, if this doesn't work, I'm not for, let it play out. The Browns, they have a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity here with the roster that's constructed to make a run, and I don't want them to blow it because they were trying to force-feed OBJ the ball in this offense. So I'm going to say under, even if it's a good season between the two. I'm going to say under. That's a lot of touchdowns. That's a lot of touchdowns for one player, when I think that the Browns did a good job of spreading it around between Higgins and between Jarvis and those guys. And, Hooper, they're going to try to get their tight ends involved a lot more this year as well. I just think that they have too many pass catchers for him to have 9.5, to have him over. So I'm going to take under 9.5 touchdowns.
I'm going to go with the under as well. Like you said, this is a run-based offense. But, I think a lot of people are missing the fact that Coach Stefanski, he's a smart dude. And I think the situation that second year Baker got into with OBJ being there and everything like that, they threw the ball at like the 2-yard line a ton. Like shotgun passes. Like, that was very strange. This ain't college football where the field is wide and you can sprint right and have a ton of room to run and have run pass options and everything like that. I think there's going to be a lot of big plays for OBJ. And just because you don't score double-digit touchdowns does not mean you had a bad season or you weren't an effective player for your team. I don't want to get like behind the weeds and everything like that. And Keith Byers can tell you this, like there's concept routes where, hey man, OBJ, if we run you on this route, that means you're probably going to get double coverage and free something up for someone else to score a touchdown. So those type of things, receivers don't get hockey assists for that type of stuff. You know what I mean? So I think that people just miss those type of concepts in football a ton. But I'm still going to go with the under. I still think the Browns are going to be a very good football team this year. And I just don't necessarily believe that touchdown catches are going to make or break OBJ's season with the Browns. I think, those impact plays, those big yardage plays, plays that put you in scoring position are just as good as scoring touchdowns.
OBJ's role is actually, it's not going to be in the red zone or in the end zone. Between the 20s, in my opinion, that's where OBJ is going to play a role in this offense. Because once they get into the 20, I think that's when they start shrinking the field. That's when you start using Jarvis, and that's when you start using your tight ends, and obviously you let the running backs eat, right? Yeah. So that's the other thing. I'm not going to let touchdowns be the number that we decide if it's working or not between him and OBJ. I'd be quiet if you got Mr. Ebron over there. I'm just saying.
No, we got Ebron, we got Deontay Johnson. Yeah, both of them had stone hands this past season.
Speaking of stone hands, Jamar Chase. Stone hands dropped a wide open pass in practice yesterday. I hope he's having a better day today, but the word has it out on the street that Joe Burrow had Jamar Chase, who beat Awuzie deep. He underthrew him. Come on, Joe Burrow. How are you supposed to be the second best quarterback in the league behind Patrick Mahomes if you're underthrowing your fastest wide receiver? And then Jamar Chase drops a wide open post pass. Like, come on now, Jamar Chase. They didn't pick you over an offensive lineman who they really needed to protect Joe Burrow. They didn't get you so you could drop passes. Now, come on. If they wanted that, they would trade for OBJ or one of the Steelers wide receivers. Now, come on. I expect better. Bengals fans, come on now. Where you at? You're quiet all of a sudden.
Oh, man. Number 5, Bengals receiver T. Higgins says he loves the potential of the offense for the upcoming 21 season. Higgins also revealed that he believes that Chase, Boyd, and himself could all go over 1,000 yards receiving this year. So over under 2 of the 3 players going for 1,000 yards receiving this season for the Bengals.
I'm big time under on this. Look, I think the receiver that has the best chance to have over 1,000 yards this year is Tyler Boyd. I think that when you are a second-year quarterback, and really your second year, but you haven't even played a full season's worth of games yet, you got to rely on veteran presence. And T. Higgins, I think that his growth got altered or got kind of hindered last year a little bit due to not having his starting quarterback with him for the full season. I think that had they had a full season together, I'd feel better about T. Higgins in year 2. But T. Higgins is still learning how to play with Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow's still learning how to play with Boyd and those guys. I think Boyd's going to be his best friend. Plus, they have to run the ball. I don't know what the obsession is with trying to throw him to the wolves right away, Joe Burrow. They're going to have to rely on Joe Mixon. And if Joe Mixon can't find a way to revert back to his old self, like back when Frank Pollock was here the first time, I don't see this offense. I mean, the talk out of Bengals camp is that they are the best offense in football. And that is laughable to me. You don't even know what Burrow looks like with this unit together. Like Burrow in year 2, how many times have we seen quarterbacks take a step back in year 2? And he never really had time to step forward in year 1. So I'm not really sold on this offense being a juggernaut by any means. I'm going to say big time under. I think the wide receiver that has the best opportunity to surpass the 1,000-yard marker is going to be Tyler Boyd, and that's it. But for T. Higgins coming out to say that he believes all 3 of them could have 1,000 yards, are you kidding? Like combined? Like what do you mean each 1,000 yards? There's no way in hell that happens. One of them, and it'll be Tyler Boyd. I think T. Higgins will be a solid option. I think that Jamar Chase, I warned you guys if you look at every draft, the number 1 wide receiver that everyone's looking at always ends up not being as good as what you think. And I think that's Jamar Chase. I don't think he's going to be as good as what everyone's making him out to be. There's no way more than 2 of these guys has more than 1,000 yards this season. I don't care if Joe Burrow throws the ball 60 times a game.
I'm going to push. I'm going to say 2 guys go over 1,000 yards. I'm going to say that T. Higgins gets over 1,000. And I'm going to say Chase gets over 1,000. Tyler Boyd's going to be that slot receiver, the most reliable hands on the team and everything like that. So I think his production, yardage wise, will drop. I think the big plays will be there for Higgins and Chase, but I'll go with the push. 3 is just crazy because that's only happened 5 times in NFL history. The last time it happened was in 08.
Who was that?
Arizona Cardinals, Fitzgerald, Anquan Bolden, and Steve Breston. 08. It's 2021. Like, I'm not saying it can't happen, but
that was with Kurt Warner.
who
was the king of the let it fly offense, right? Like,
yeah, I mean, listen to some of these numbers for Fitzgerald: 96 catches, 1,400 yards, 12 touchdowns.
1,400 yards.
Oh
Holy crap.
Anquan Bolden, 89 catches, just over 1,000 yards, 11 touchdowns. Stevie Breaston, 77 catches, just over 1,000 yards, 3 touchdowns. I mean, before that, it was Peyton Manning in 04 with Marvin Harrison, Reggie Wayne, and Brandon Stokely. You know, and all those guys had double-digit touchdowns. Marvin Harrison had 15 touchdowns, Reggie Wayne 12, and Brandon Stokely 10. Like, I mean, and both of those teams played in the Super Bowl that year. So if you putting up those type of numbers, if this happens, if all 3 of those dudes put up over 1,000 yards and are double-digit touchdowns and everything like that, they should be playing in the Super Bowl. So I'm just saying.
It's not happening. It's just not. And and the thing is,
it's good to have goals though.
I mean, my goodness, at least take some notes from the team across the street from you guys. At least be realistic with the goals of what you're trying to set out to do. I mean, the Reds didn't go all in at the trade deadline because they know that they have a ceiling. And the Bengals, they act like they don't have a roof. They act like, when your parents always tell you could be anything you want to be when you grew up, these fools actually believed it. The Justin Kinder Show with Kev Nash. And that was Over Under. We'll be back in a moment.
Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
This afternoon will be partly cloudy, a high near 82. Tonight will also be partly cloudy, a low near 60. And tomorrow will be partly cloudy, a high near 80. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Nobody protects you from mayhem like Allstate. I'm a broken traffic light. Stop and go is the name of my game. It's easy. You go, they go. What was it? They go, you go? And if you have the wrong car insurance, these repair costs could stop you in your tracks. So get Allstate's new low auto rate and be better protected from mayhem, like me.
Not available in every state based on coverage and limits selected. Subject to terms, conditions, and availability. In most states, prices vary based on how you buy. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
It's back to school season at JCPenney. Score first-class deals before they're gone. Shop store-wide doorbusters while they last all weekend long. Save on Arizona uniform essentials for juniors and young men like select $9.99 polos and $19.99 pants. And get dorm must-haves like Linden Street Performance bath towels, $6.99 each. Plus, use your coupon to save an extra 25% at checkout. Weekdays are back in style. JCPenney. Offers and coupon valid through 8/4. Exclusions apply. See store or jcp.com for details.
Staples Connect has everything you need for back to school at amazing prices. Right now, the TI-84 Plus CE Graphing Calculator is just $99.99. You save $55, our lowest price of the season. With savings like that, your student won't just be ready for school. They'll be first day of school pop quiz ready.
It's showtime.
Visit your local Staples store or staples.com/back to school today and get more than ready for back to school with amazing prices for everything on your list. Ends 8/1, limit 2 per customer, in store only.
Want to hear something amazing? Discover matches all the cash back you earn on your credit card at the end of your first year, automatically, dollar for dollar, with no limit on how much you can earn. Extra cash? Come on, how amazing is that? In fact, it's even more amazing when you realize all the places where Discover is accepted. 99% of places in the U.S. that take credit cards. So when it comes to Discover, get used to hearing yes more often. Learn more at discover.com/yes. 2021 Nielsen Report. Limitations apply.
Tired of deciding what to cook tonight? Frickers is ready when you are with everyone's favorite ribs and frickin' chicken chunks. Tender baby back ribs and frickin' chicken chunks, only $12.99 dine-in only. Take the day off as kids 10 and under eat free every day. And you can relax and let Frickers take care of everything. Baby back ribs, frickin' chicken chunks, and kids eat free at the one place that makes lunch, dinner, or late night easy. The home for fun, food, sports, and spirits, Frickers.
Baby back. Baby back.
Hi, this is Sales Manager Jason High of Germain Honda Beaver Creek. Personally, inviting you to take advantage of the 0% financing on the Honda HR-V, Passport, and Pilot. Germain Honda has over 200 new Hondas to choose from, including the redesigned 2021 Honda Ridgeline and the 2022 Honda Odyssey, plus over 30 of the brand new 2022 Honda Civics to choose from. Now that's a selection no one else in the region can claim. Route 35 just east of 675 between Xenia and Beaver Creek. Germain Honda Beaver Creek, the right car, the right price, the right way.
Cordell Transportation is now hiring Class A CDL drivers. $5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right, $5,000 sign-on bonus. Home daily dedicated lanes, no touch freight. Apply today at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
Now at Menards, save big money on your next project with 11% off everything. Start cleaning up with a new Briggs & Stratton pressure washer. They save time and restore your home's curb appeal instantly. Right now, get 11% off on all pressure washers and outdoor equipment. Get 11% off everything now at Menards. Good through July 31st. Savings or mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards. Listen to this station anytime, anywhere on Odyssey. Odyssey is your new audio home for all the music, news, sports, and podcasts that matter to you. Odyssey. That's AUDACY.
Liberty Mutual Insurance Company presents and Doug.
And we're back with Limu, Emu, and Doug for the final question. Category is things you climb. All right, Limu, what do you think? You sure? We're going with Liberty Mutual customizes your car insurance so you only pay for what you need. Oh, so close. We were looking for stairs. Huh. Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Great values are happening now during Lowe's Summer Savings. Save on select appliance special values. Plus, save an additional $50 when you buy 2 or more appliances, $396 or more. You'll also find new lower prices on ceiling fans, landscape lighting, and more. So shop Lowe's today. In-store must ask cashier to apply discount. Must purchase 2 or more appliances, each totaling $396 or more. Can't be combined with more discounts. Savings varies based on eligible total purchase. See Lowe's.com for restrictions. Valid 7/15 through 8/4. U.S. only.
Staples Connect has everything to help you get ready for back to school with amazing prices for everything on your list. Visit your local Staples store, staplesconnect.com, and be more than ready for school. Staples.
There are many ways to catch the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio, weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. You can catch it live right here on 1410 Wing AM, or you can stream the show at wingam.com. But now we have another way that you can take in the show. You can now watch the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash live on ESPN Dayton's Facebook page. Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio. On Twitter, make sure to give us a follow. Search 1410 Kinner for Justin Kinner on Twitter. That's 1410 KINNER and ESPN Dayton for the station Twitter handle.
All right, we welcome you back. Happy Friday. That's right, it's a Friday. It's our last show of September. How about that? Or no, July. What the hell? See, this month is flying by so fast. This year is flying by so quickly. September means my vacation's up around the corner. But at least when I come back on Monday, I could say, man, next month I have my vacation. So I'm pretty excited.
Speaking of vacation, I got another one coming up. So
good for you.
I'll let you know.
Good for you. You take more off time in this building than anybody else. Survey says that's a lie. We welcome you back. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine. And what a week. I mean, this is for the last week in the month of July. This should be a slow time because we should be talking about what's coming up. Like camp is coming up for the NFL. Usually the NBA Finals and draft is wrapped up and free agency is wrapped up. We should be talking about, the upcoming season, college football, the upcoming season. There's so many things going on now that this week we didn't even have time to get into everything. The trade deadline this week, unbelievable for baseball. It was one of the more exciting trade deadlines in a while. I was just a little frustrated earlier when I was talking about what I saw on social media from Reds fans. Basically, all I keep seeing is, well, it's okay that we didn't make any big move at the deadline because we have such an easy schedule down the stretch that's all that matters. And that's a low bar if you are a fan base. That doesn't scream, oh, I like our team, I think we're really good. It's, well, we don't suck as much as our opponents down the stretch, so maybe we have a shot. I think that's a loser's mentality, and I think that Reds fans, you need to step your game up. I think that I've always been giving you guys credit over the Bengals fans, but I think you're rivaling the Bengals fans with weird takes on trying to compartmentalize what your team has done to you. John Lentz on Twitter tweeted at me saying that if the Reds thought they could win it all like the NL West teams do, mortgaging the future makes sense. The Reds roster isn't even close. Now, that's not true at all. This team averages about 5 runs a game. They have the run support. If the bullpen ERA, which is at 5, if you cut that to under 3, which it is under 3 for the 3 bullpen arms that they brought over, if all of a sudden your bullpen moving forward has an ERA that's well under 3, and you have the 5 to 7 runs a game that the Reds are getting right now, which is unbelievable, and you continue getting good outings from Luis Castillo and Wade Miley and Sonny Gray, and to be honest, I mean, Tyler Mahle has not been horrible. Imagine if the Reds would have gone after a big-time arm to be in the rotation. And I say this all the time. I don't want to hear about mortgaging the future because at the end of the day, teams spend so much time worried about the future that they forget about the now. And I understand the mindset of wanting to be cognizant of the future. You don't want to blow up your farm system for the future. And I even made that point earlier. But at the same time, who's to say that a year from now that the only team the Reds in the Central have to worry about is the Brewers? I can't tell you the last time that we said, oh, the Reds have no one in the division to worry about except this one team. I told you about back in 2013 when they won 90 games. They made the playoffs, but they won 90 games, and that was good to finish 3rd in the division. You win 90 games this year, you're probably winning this division, as Kev said earlier. So that's why I'm frustrated is, sure, it's easy to focus on the future, but you know what? We've seen examples in sports where teams have gone all in and said, you know what? We're going all in to win now. We'll worry about the future later. How about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? They are going into salary cap hell because they're basically saying, it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to have a quarterback like Tom Brady. So you know what? We'll deal with the financial ramifications later. We'll gut this roster later, but for right now, we will overspend to get guys to make sure that our Super Bowl window stays open a little bit longer. And I applaud that. I respect that. And that's what I want out of my teams. That's what I want out of the Reds. A year from now, the Reds could end up having a better roster. But if the Cardinals all of a sudden blow up, and not blow up their roster, but if all of a sudden they start spending money and they become good, and the Brewers only get better. So if the Brewers only get better moving forward and the Cardinals step back up to the plate and get better, now all of a sudden the Reds have to worry about the Cardinals and the Brewers. You don't know what a year from now will hold. And to me, the organizations that have proven to be contenders and do what it takes to win, the Brewers have done that. The Cardinals have done that. The Reds always like to dip their toe in the water and they take their shirt off like they're about to jump in the pool, and then they're like, oh, never mind, it's too cold. I'm just going to go sit back over here. Or they're the ones that swim with their shirt on. Or they're the ones that just let their feet sit in the water. They don't actually jump in the pool. The Cardinals and the Brewers, they're the ones yelling, cannonball! And then a huge splash. And there's the Reds sitting over there with their feet just dangling in the water. Stop worrying so much about the future and sometimes focus on the now. And that's okay to do every once in a while.
But don't you have to get to that point? Don't you have to have a team that you believe in, that you do want to make those roster additions and make that big splash and everything like that? Like you talked about with Tampa Bay, they felt like, you know, the reason they weren't contending for Super Bowls is because Jameis Winston was out there throwing 30 interceptions. And, oh, man, if we could just get a guy that could just stop turning the ball over, and they trumped that. They got the best quarterback of all time and plugged them in, and they won a Super Bowl. But don't you have to have the necessary pieces to make you want to do that? Because we talked about that before, like last week, about, you know, giving the players, giving the front office a reason to do it. Like, do the Reds have enough reason to make those power moves?
Well, right now, I mean, the Cincinnati Reds have the 6th best, batting average. All right. And then when you look at the fact that, you know, from an offensive standpoint, I mean, I'm looking at this right now. I mean, when you look at the runs per game, they're 3rd in runs per game. You know how hard it is to have an offense to produce that many runs? You're without your MVP candidate, Nick Castellanos, and you're still bludgeoning teams offensively. That's how loaded this team is offensively. And the Reds have always been known to be that team to where, like this year, they have all the hitting in the world. They have just good enough rotation or starting pitchers, and then no bullpen. And then next year, year, Kev, they're going to go all in and fix the bullpen, and then they might add a rotation guy or two, and then they'll have no run support because now they're going to have a lineup full of rookies, because when they start bringing up, Barrero and those guys, it's going to be a much younger team, Tyler Stevenson and guys like that. So that's why I'm like, so the next year they'll have the pitching and no hitting. This year they have the hitting and no pitching. But at this trade deadline right now, with those 3 arms, it didn't cost them a thing to add those 3 arms right there. It didn't cost them a thing. So they could have added those. And what's wrong with going after a Max Scherzer? Now it's reaching for the stars, but my goodness, you're going for it all right now because there's only one team ahead of you right now, and that's the Brewers. Next year, there could be 2 to 3 teams ahead of you. And now it's like, I could see why when you have 4 teams ahead of you, why you don't want to go all in, because the chances of you surpassing all 4 of them. But we're talking about one. Winning the NL Central, that's a big deal, and that would put them in position to make a run in the playoffs. And right now, I feel like they did just enough to say, well, let's just look competitive and take some momentum into the offseason. So that's what I mean. Stop being that organization every single time that says, well, prospects, we need a farm system, we need this. Yes, you need it. But if you pay attention to the teams that are really, really good, they're taking their farm system and they're turning it into actual players that can help you win now. The Yankees, they gutted their system to get players that can win now with Rizzo and those guys, okay? If you look at the Dodgers, they gutted their system to be able to go out and get Trey Turner, to be able to go out and get guys like Max Scherzer to win now. You look at the White Sox, they gave up a huge amount to go get Kimbrel. The Cubs, they loaded up their farm system. But if you think that every prospect that the Cubs bring in are going to be the prospects that are the stars of the Cubs of the future, they are the key to the future, but those prospects will be the key to bring in the stars of the future. And that's what's going to be important moving forward, is that the Reds, I know that they are so obsessed with developing their own talent. That's why they missed out on getting some really good players, because they were so gung-ho on Nick Senzel that they were just trying to make it work. The dude's hurt every single year. He's hurt every single year. You know what kind of talent you could have got for him had you moved on from him? And they wouldn't do it. They would not do it, because that's what the Indians wanted. That they wanted Senzel. They wanted one of their big names, and the Reds wouldn't do it. Well, you get what you are willing to not pay for. And that's what I have a problem with. Stop being so obsessed with the future that you forget to win now, because with what you're trying to accomplish in the future, you just hope that in the future you are in this position that you're 1 or 2 away. Had the Reds got a good quality starting pitcher in there with Luis Castillo, in there with Wade Miley, okay, in there with Sonny Gray, in there with Tyler Mahle, with the 3 additions to the bullpen, and then they went that extra mile to get a Kimbrel, sure, they might pay for it in the offseason, but my goodness, you can't say that they didn't try. Isn't that what everyone's mad at about this team right now, is that they didn't try in the offseason? Because they already had Moustakas, they had Castellanos, they had Wade Miley, they had Sonny Gray, you have Luis Castillo, all right, you have Jonathan India, who you called up, Jesse Winker is an all-star. I mean, they had all of these pieces. The front office did all of that, and they didn't get the rest, and that's what you're mad at. Well, how is that any different right now? Why are you mad that they didn't add the rest in the offseason, but right now you're content with them not adding the rest? This was their chance to make up for not adding in the offseason, and they squandered it. And now the Reds fans are sitting here saying, well, it's okay. It's okay, Justin. We're going to be fun to watch. We're going to be cute. We're going to be like a puppy, except puppies grow up to be ugly sometimes. And I feel like that's what's about to happen. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine. I'm just frustrated. Like, I get it. I understand both sides, but for me right now, I just feel like the Reds squandered an opportunity, because the NL Central, there's not many times where I could look back and say, oh man, the Reds only have one team to worry about. And moving forward, I think it's going to be 2 teams to worry about, and that's very difficult to overcome 2 teams. We'll see what happens. But all right, we're going to close out the show on the other side of this break. We'll give our final thoughts on some of the big happenings with the Olympics, with the Major League Baseball trade deadline, with the NBA draft last night. The Pistons come away with Cade Cunningham, the number 1 player. That's rare in the draft, when we knew the Jaguars were going to take Trevor Lawrence, but the Jags were hush-hush about it, right? Until they announced it, which is so weird. The Pistons announced at this time yesterday that, we're drafting Cade Cunningham. There's no secret. There's no need to do this little song and dance. We know what we're doing. I thought that was cool to see. We'll be back in a moment.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine.
Greatness. It's not born of coincidence. It's not a product of luck. It's forged through dedication, drills, and the acquisition of new skills. Wanting won't get you there, but sweat equity just might.
Timothy's Bar and Grill on Brown Street wants to wish the Dayton Flyers Red Scare the best of luck in their journey through the basketball tournament. Wear red, be loud, go Flyers!
There's never any FOMO with the iHeartRadio app. You won't ever have to miss out on your favorite shows and contests with this radio station again. Radio 24/7, 365. We're here when you want us. Stay connected and listen anywhere when you download the free iHeartRadio app.
Don't overpay for glasses. Get 2 pairs and a free exam for just $69.95. That's not just a better deal. It's America's best. Book your exam online today.
Want free Reds tickets? How about a free MLB Network Reds bag? Maybe a Reds bobblehead? Here's an idea. How about we combine them all together and give you a chance to win a free WING Reds prize pack presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken. Register daily at wingam.com. Whether you're at home, at work, or in your car, tune in to ESPN 1410 Wing AM or stream us live at wingam.com.
Welcome back. Justin Kinner, Kev Nash with you here. And this is the stuff I'm talking about, Kev, where I don't understand Reds fans' logic. They don't make any sense. Now, John Litton, I said, you spend so much time worrying about the future, you forget about the now. And he goes, the ownership and front office blew their chance to truly contend this year when they failed to address shortstop and sold off pitching in the offseason. Well, that doesn't make any sense. This is the same guy that said that they're not even close to being contenders. Well, he's making it sound like they were a shortstop and bullpen away. Well, they added the bullpen pieces. So if they would have added Trevor Story at this deadline, then based on his logic and even mine, they're contenders at that point. When you have Jesse Winker, when you have Nick Castellanos, when you have Mike Moustakas, when you have this Joey Votto, my goodness, when you have Jonathan India, who has just been sensational. My goodness, give me a break here. And then so if they would have added a starting pitcher with Wade Miley, with Luis Castillo, with Sonny Gray, that's a very good team. This is a very good team. This was not the time to, sit there and sit on your hands, especially when you have Sonny Gray, you have Luis Castillo, you have Wade Miley. Adding a legitimate starting pitcher with that group would have been humongous. All right. The 3 bullpen arms that you added for basically nothing, that's huge. You traded for Trevor Story. Now you have your shortstop. Now you have a starting pitcher. Now you have basically 3 bullpen guys at basically no cost because you traded prospects and players to be named later. And then maybe if you would have had the balls to go for Craig Kimbrell, now you would have had the complete package. Stop giving me stupid excuses. It's a loser's mentality. Stop defending. It's a Cincinnati thing. Oh, yeah, it's okay to be average. It's okay to be average. It's not okay to be average. You want more. Kev, as we end this today, your thoughts on just the week that was the Olympics with Simone Biles. We didn't get your take on that from earlier. That's been the weirdest thing. I've been so back and forth on that all week because I said last week, tell you mine and then you close it out with yours. But I said when it initially happened that I'm a big Simone Biles fan and that I didn't have an issue with her backing out. Because of that, though, I also don't think that she is free from criticism of being held to a standard of any other athlete that would have done the same thing. Because I use the example. Now it's a lazy example because everyone's using it, but they're doing it for hateful reasons. That's not really what I was doing it for. I just said, can you imagine the reaction if LeBron James in Game 7 of an NBA Finals would have said, I'm going through a lot right now. I'm not mentally stable enough to play tonight. I'm going to sit this one out. Kev, he would never get he would never get the benefit of the doubt. He would not get he would get the same treatment that Simone Biles is getting. And it doesn't mean that LeBron did anything wrong. And it doesn't mean that Biles did anything wrong. That's just kind of where we're at. And I said the same people that right now are saying, it's not right to hold her to that standard. It's not right to say that, mental health is so important. But at that elite level of sports, mental toughness is a factor too. And I think right now what we are learning is how to adapt to being cognizant of mental health while also still remembering that, part of being an athlete and successful in life in general, mental toughness goes a long way in that too. We can't just say mental toughness is no longer a factor that we consider what makes you great or not. That does matter. This situation, though, Biles has already established herself as the GOAT, as the best of all time. So it's not fair to just erase her entire career of successes over this situation. I just think that I don't like it where you are told she did this because she did it for these reasons. You cannot criticize her. That's not necessarily true. But at the same time, I do think that people need to be a little bit more open-minded. People that know nothing about gymnastics, including myself, are sitting here trying to tell her that she should go do all these flips in the air and risk falling on her head because she's not mentally straight for that event. So that's all I'm going to say on that. I do think her quotes didn't help her any. I think she was trying to say the right things, and I think sometimes it just kept digging her hole more and more, as far as providing ammo for people to hate on her. Right. my opinion of her hasn't changed. I'm a fan of hers. I'm a fan of her work. But at the same time, I also can see why this has led to the criticism, because the same people that say, oh, no, don't criticize her. Mental health. Don't criticize her. Mental health. Don't criticize her. Mental health. They're the same ones that when a field goal kicker misses a field goal to win their team a game, get that bum out of there. He can't handle the moment.
Right.
We say that in sports all the time. Me and you were saying that about DeAndre Ayton. The moment was too big for him. He wasn't able to live up to it because the moment was too big. We're in essence saying that mentally he couldn't handle it. That's what we're saying. All right. Now, we don't come out and be like, oh, man, he's not mentally strong. Get him out of there. But honestly, we do use that in sports as well. So this is one of those where I don't know why people got so sensitive about this, because we use these same phrases for sports, for all sports, men's sports, female sports, it all. And then now you're telling people, oh, no, you got to be very delicate here and sensitive here. I just think I don't know. I found this whole scenario to be very fascinating, watching how people are adapting to how we are addressing this moving forward.
Yeah. What people have to realize is she's still 24 years old. And the thing about her and her quotes and her just being addicted to social media, she needs to put the phone down and stop checking the mentions. That's for sure, because that is playing tricks on her as well. Not only her doing gymnastics, her sport and everything like that, playing tricks on her, but just reading all the comments. It's in her head. There's no doubt about it. All this is in her head, from people's comments about her to her having a rough time at the Olympics, or not even just the Olympics, the Olympic trials. Like, she's been struggling, and struggles for her are still scores in the 14s and everything like that. And those are good enough to have her qualified for the Olympics. And that's why she's so good. And that's why she's one of the best of all time. And I'm with you 100% about, let's not forget, she's a decorated Olympian already. You know what I'm saying? This moment in time can't erase what she did before. And also, yeah, I'm with you. Nobody's above reproach. When you play a sport, you are criticized for what you do, for what you accomplish, for what you don't accomplish, and everything like that. There is room for criticism for her. But I do question the simple fact that she's spoken out about having mental health issues, because we can go way left and talk about the Larry Nassar situation, that USA Gymnastics allowed that guy to be a part of it and did some very disgusting things, which he's in jail for right now. We could talk about that. We could also talk about how when Naomi Osaka backed out of her competition, citing mental health issues. I think there's if somebody had a broken ankle, nobody would question it. But I think we're getting to a point where we're still trying to understand mental health and something, quote unquote, being broken in your brain, because basically what she has is the yips. We see the yips in baseball. For some strange reason, a pitcher can't throw to first base. It's in their head. Or a golfer has a hitch in his swing all of a sudden. Why do you have it? Why do you have a hitch in your swing? I don't know. I'm just doing it. So those are things that people have to work out. And yes, her being on the biggest stage there is in sports, the Olympics, only comes around once every 4 years. In this case, once every 5 years. I'm sure the pressure got to her. And there's nothing wrong with saying, hey, man, the pressure got to her. And so I'm saying there's nobody above reproach of being discussed. Now, are there tons of disgusting things out there being said about her, calling her un-American, scared to compete and everything like that? Those are the things that I talk about, where when athletes or people in general need to put the phone down or turn off the comments or don't read the comments, because the real people talking about, just criticizing or discussing her performance, that's fair game. But the a-holes out there, that's unfair game. And I think that's what she's been focusing on, the a-holes out there that's really got her off her game and off her circle. I wish nothing but the best for her, because obviously we want to see her compete. And another thing I wanted to talk about with gymnastics, could you imagine your career being over at 26? That's it. This potentially, she's 24, this could potentially be her last time Olympics. You know what I'm saying? We are fortunate enough that we talk on the radio for a living. We can go all the way up until we're 70. How old was Larry King when he finally retired? He was 80 some years old. But especially in gymnastics, especially for females, not trying to get like graphic or anything like that, but they start competing at a super young age. They're like the one woman, she's 18 years old. She won a gold medal and everything like that. To be talking about that Simone Biles is past her prime at 24 years old, that is crazy. And these things happen because you're doing these flips and crazy things on a balance beam. Well, women start to develop different body parts older they get. And you can't jump as high as you used to because you're not 100 pounds. Now you're 120 pounds. So all these things, like, people just have a lack of sympathy towards athletes in general. She's a decorated Olympian athlete. By all accounts, she's a great person. But like I said before, nobody's above reproach when it comes to your sport. And I look at it as she took a step back because she was scared she was going to hurt herself. And also, you know, hey, I'm going to hurt my team's chances to even medal. You know, obviously we wanted them to come home with the gold and everything like that. And if she was on her game, they probably would have. But, you know, I commend her for backing out so her teammates could try to win. Because if she would have went out there, they wouldn't have medaled because she was shook. She was done for. So if she goes out there and still competes and just basically flubs the whole thing, what's worse? Her going out there just crumbling under the pressure, or backing out saying, I ain't got it today, y'all go ahead and do it? Because we've seen that happen in basketball with Allen Iverson in the Eastern Conference Finals. He said he was bricking like crazy, and he let Eric Snow shoot the ball. Eric Snow was out there making shots in the Eastern Conference Finals because Allen Iverson said, they're doubling me. Normally, you know, I would shoot it, but I'm bricking. Here's the ball. You're going to have to make a play. So I commend people for understanding the place and time for themselves.
The only thing I'll agree 1,000,000% on is the factor of being up in the air, being vulnerable to fall. I mean, like, it's not like getting hurt. Oh, I stubbed my toe or I sprained an ankle. I mean, you're defenseless. When you're in the air, one thing goes wrong, you're falling on your neck. Yeah. Now we're talking about being paralyzed. That I can get behind 1,000,000%. I disagree with you, though, on I wasn't confident in my ability to perform, and I feel like I was going to hurt the team. If Giannis Antetokounmpo in a tie game in Game 7 said, guys, I quit. I can't hit free throws. I'm going to let you down. I'm going to go. No, go to the free throw line and step up. So that's the only thing I'm going to defer on, is say that I can't get behind. And and this is where I risk sounding insensitive. This whole, Simone Biles is a hero for that. I don't know about a hero. I respect what she did, but I don't know about a hero. Like, I don't know how this, like, my thing is like, we're opening the door.
Well, I'm not going to go with hero either. I don't put hero and
I'm
athlete.
not anti-her.
No, I'm not talking about her. I just don't put any athlete in the word hero. Okay, cool. Like, hero is for, you know, our veterans and things of that nature. I don't, and medical professionals and everything like that. I don't equate hero with athlete.
And that's where I was like, okay, we're getting a little over the top with this, and like, you know, and everything like that. But I will say, on the way out here, it's just, we are learning how to talk about mental health in a way, but we also can't use it as an excuse to just get out of doing things and get out of not being held accountable. I went to college. We all, you know, for everyone that's gone to college, and by the way, if you didn't go to college, I'm not judging. I'm just saying, like, in high school, passing high school, college, anything is difficult. But imagine going to your college professor and saying, my mental health is more important than your class. Your final is stressing me out and impacting my mental health. I'm not taking this final. Oh, you're going to fail me? Oh, see, you're not supporting my mental health concern. That's where I'm worried that this is going. Is like, we got to be careful a little bit. Like, I heard a quote the other day that said, mental health is important, but so is mental toughness to a certain degree.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think that needs to be, I just think there needs to be a balance. I just didn't like this past week of, it was, she could do whatever she wants. You cannot have a bad opinion about her. And if you do, you're a horrible person. I'm like, we're going to time out right there. This needs to be a learning, an opportunity to have a learning conversation, or a conversation to open up about certain things and come to a happy medium.
Right.
I just think, just like everything else in life right now, it's one way or no way. It's the right way and the wrong way. And I don't think that there is a all right way and an all wrong way here. So that's all.
Do you think that it has anything to do with them being females? Because when Phelps came out, he was celebrated. When Kevin Love came out, he was celebrated. When DeMar DeRozan came out, he was celebrated. But these two females come out and talk about their mental health and their struggles. It's not the same thing. It hasn't been the same thing.
I think it's a little different because, and first of all, I said the opposite. I thought that so many people were being compassionate about Simone Biles because she was female, because I said that hold on, to your point though, I do see what you're saying. The difference is Kevin Love, like those players, they didn't stop what they were doing even though he did stop playing for a little bit. But like, I think Osaka's was blown up because she refused to address the media, and it's part of your job description. You got to address the media. And it's like, come on now, what you're can't talk to the media, like not understanding the anxiety part of her issue. We're just thinking, oh, she's being entitled. She doesn't want to talk to the media. It's your job. Boo-hoo, get over it. That was the wrong way to look at it. I think that the scenarios were different. You had Osaka who wouldn't talk to the media, knew she had to talk to the media, and went to the event and didn't do it anyways. And I think that it almost came across more defiant than it did mental health issues. That was not the case. But again, perception's reality, unfortunately. And then with Biles, it was more, you went to the event, you performed in the event, and then when you weren't performing up to your expectations, then it came across as, oh, well, I quit because I'm not competing at a high level. So if I'm not competing at a high level, I don't want to do it. Not the right way to view that, but that's how it was perceived, to where the others were speaking out on it. I think speaking out on it's not the worst thing. I just think the way it was perceived because of everything is kind of how it kind of went. I don't know. I just thought that this past week, I brought out a lot of ugly in people, but then I thought people got too mushy with it too. Like, relax. Like, I'm glad that she actually, and we're way out of time here, I'm sorry. I'm glad that she did have the guts. I mean, that's the Olympics. You know how much guts it takes to say, hey, I'm out. I'm not going to that does take guts. Courage, I don't know about courage, but guts, yes, because she knew she was going to get a lot of heat for it. I just thought it was a very interesting week. That's all.
Yeah, so, like you said, I was on vacation when everything was going on. So what was that, Tuesday or Wednesday, whenever I decided to turn the TV back on, like it was like an onslaught of everything. Like I got so much news and I was trying to digest so many things, and I did the wrong thing about actually listening to a Jason Whitlock podcast. So
see, I didn't listen to what he said. Like, and I made sure when I talked about it the other day, I said, like, I don't think this is, and again, there's race always involved to a certain degree and things that maybe I don't see because not being part of the Black community, maybe there's some undertones I haven't picked up on. I just viewed her as an athlete in this situation. And I do believe that male or female, white or Black or Hispanic or Asian, whoever, anyone that was as good as she is. And then for like, you view them as being untouchable. Like, you can't accept all the praise for being above and beyond everybody else and then say, well, you're bullying me now when you're being critical. But society has to do a better job too. There's no one to blame here. No one has done particularly anything wrong all on one side. But
society ain't going to do better. We've seen that. And that's why I say she's got to get off the phone. She's got to get off that phone, dog, because she, like, when she's at the meets for the men and everything like that, she's on the phone. She ain't texting nobody. She probably on that Twitter looking at the comments. Get off the phone. That's bad for you. Like, it truly is.
But that's also, that will never change because that's an addictive drug. Yeah. And I'm telling you right now, I have a problem. I'm glued to my phone. No, like, it really is. Like, my family, I know I tick my family off because my hand is glued to this phone. Like, and I'm always on Twitter. I'm always on Facebook. And you know this too with how I am with this stuff. Like, that's not going to change.
Yeah,
I mean, by the way, we're trying to live on our phones.
Yes,
and now it's not as easy as, Kevin Durant is a grown, it's not a male female thing, but a grown ass man made a fake Twitter account to go at other people saying bad things about him. This is a complete, Michael Jordan the other day, who, by the way, not quit, retired because the media became too much. He couldn't leave his hotel room. He couldn't go to a gas station. He couldn't go to a grocery store. He literally had to wear disguises. He had to be cloaked to walk into his room. I mean, and again, we say, oh man, I hate being famous, but it doesn't matter. Put yourself in his shoes. That can be overwhelming. You can't even go out to get a drink with friends. Like, that's how his life was. He retired. He, in an interview the other day, said that the one opponent he could not beat, like, he is confident that in his prime, he could beat every opponent, no matter who it was, LeBron, Kobe, he doesn't care. Social media is the one thing he knows damn straight. I wouldn't be able to. And he's right. And I actually thought that was pretty cool that he said that, because that was basically just saying, like, he couldn't, like, with the way people criticize. I mean, Michael Jordan was a god to everybody back then. There was a lot of people that probably did not like him, but he didn't hear about it because social media didn't exist. Right. And I think it's the same thing now. I think a lot of people love LeBron James. We just feel because of social media that everyone hates him, when that's not the case.
I mean, we see the memes that go around all the time and everything like that, or the phrase that the internet is undefeated. There's two things that's undefeated: concrete and the internet. Like, the internet always wins because everybody's on the internet and everybody has something to say. And there's tons more negativity than positivity out there for you to consume. And we talk about this all the time, like, where we're watching the NBA finals together via the phone and everything like that. And once I put my phone on that charger on the other side of the room, that's kind of like my only way to stop conversations with people, because I'll be talking to you. I'll be talking to my brother. I'll be talking to my cousin. I'll have like 10 conversations going, oh, did you see that? Oh, I got to make sure I hear Kendra to make sure he saw it. I know you saw it. You're watching the same thing I did. So it's so addictive. So I'm not just saying it's super easy just to put the phone down, but like, please, man, like we all got to dial back because the internet is undefeated. People are going to be at your neck regardless. If you're great, if you're terrible, they're going to be at your neck if you win or lose. It's never going to be good enough. Never. Like we could talk about LeBron James. He could win. He could play until he's 55 and win 8 more championships. Somebody will find a way to say, he sucks. Like, that's just how it is.
MJ would have won 10 titles too if he played till he's 55.
Yeah, like it's just that's how the internet is. And like you said, we are way over. And not only is Debbie going to kill you, she's going to kill me too.
I'm just going to blame you. She's just going to blame you. But no, my thing is, my main goal with talking about mental health is that I said this too, the media drove me nuts that day. Every media member had to sprint to social media to say, oh my gosh, I am so on your side. You are 1,000,000% right that there's no other way to view that. And I was just like, okay, you could use this as a conversation piece, not as a scolding session to keep people from wanting to have the conversation. I think we learn more in these conversations than we do in the love fest on Twitter, where all we do is say, oh, she's right, you're wrong. You're a jerk, she's right. No, she wasn't wrong. But I don't know. This is a very weird situation that happened. Because, by the way, you want to know the one reason that she could have got away with all this and no one could have said a damn thing? It was, when you get disoriented in the air, you could fall and break your neck. She should have just left it at that. I don't know why, even if it was mental health, I just think it opened the door for everyone to be a-holes about the mental health thing because it sounded like it was an excuse. You know what I can't argue with? I can't tell a gymnast how to do 85.
Certain people will, though.
How to do 85 flips in the air and not fall on your neck. Because all she had to say was, look, when you're not confident and you second guess it, a split second of second guessing yourself in the air, you could fall and break your neck. Oh, okay. I didn't really, I understand, or I don't understand, but that's scary stuff. But when she started doing the whole, talking too much,
over explaining.
Do they have coaches? Why? Like, don't they have people that should be speaking for them?
United States gymnastics.
You see what I'm saying?
Like that, but like they're all like independent.
But doesn't she have representation or someone that should be speaking or giving her advice? Like,
I'm sure she does.
I got the vibe that she was on an island by herself, man. Like, I just felt like someone stop her. Like, why is she talking? She did nothing wrong. She technically said nothing wrong. But as you know, when you're being grilled for something, no one's looking for the right answer. They're looking like Aaron Rodgers speaking to the media the other day. I thought he killed it. I actually, even I, who has been anti Aaron Rodgers, he got me to view things differently because I'm like, actually, he brings up a good point. But I saw people on Twitter just blast him. I'm like, see, you can't win for anything. They got mad because he wasn't talking. Now he talks and they're still mad. So you're going in circles.
Does she compete? You think she's going to jump out there? I think she can compete on the floor exercise. I think she can compete in like 3 more events, like as a solo.